So, have you ever wondered why Christianity's not working? Like, you ever had a situation where you thought by now you should have had this thing worked out, or had this thing figured out, or had this spiritual discipline under your belt? Um, but it keeps not working, it keeps malfunctioning. And you're looking around like, man, how come that person seems to have it? But then you talk to that person and maybe you confess your sins and they tell you, actually, I struggle with the same thing. Like, why doesn't it seem to work? Well, could be that the product is not all that it's cracked up to be. It could be that I don't know how to say this without hurting anyone's feelings, but what if it's just not true? What if it's not real? And what if the evidence that it's not true and not real is plentiful? And what if the evidence really indicates that Christianity hijacked and stole everything that it has? And then here's the kicker. What if it stole everything that it has from another religion that itself was not true? And that's part of the reason why it's overflowing with evidence of its non reality. Well, I want to talk about that today. I want to talk about how we can know that Christianity is not true and that it stole everything that it has. But before we get into any of that, welcome to Ichabod. I'm your host, Be Good. Folks are already in the chat. You know how we do here. Come through, greet somebody in reason's name. Daryl Williams, salutations. Where the rock? What's going on? Says, what is this here? Gloopity, gloopity, friends. Okay. Hey, Eddie, what's good? Amayas, good to see you. Sha Goodwin, why does your last name look familiar? Kiki, 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 kiki. Says, peace. We got more folks in the chat. Daniel Darcht. Forgive me, I know I've seen some of these names before, but sometimes they catch me off guard. Maya says, Daniel Dennett. I think you're talking about Daniel Dennett, but Dennett would say Christianity is designed product of evolutionary meme. Hey, Eddie says, I need this. This is like my therapy outside of therapy. And trust, one day I'm going to pop up in Denver and we're going to get a chance to have this this therapy session in person where we sit around and we get to affirm one another and yeah, really put some meat on the bones here. Is that Lawana Clark? Am I reading that right? Greetings, family. If I'm saying the name wrong, please forgive me. My screen is not too close. I'm trying to make out what I'm seeing. Much love, y'all. Noon, what's happening, Noon? Love all you guys. Love the community. Got a few announcements here. Yes, come through, greet somebody in reason's name. Have fun in the chat. If you're watching this on, I always forget to do the thing. I got to go live on YouTube. No, I'm on YouTube. I got to go live on, what's the other thing? Okay. So Instagram should be live now. Sorry about that. Facebook should already be live. I'll put the link to call in Facebook in a minute. Mo Wheat, what's happening? Who is Arabit? I don't know how to say the name. Sorry. Definitely got to get a copy of second edition. I guess you're talking about Let There Be Gaslight. Yeah, definitely get the second edition. I've got folks who've been picking up Let There Be Gaslight and actually really diving in. And not even talking about atheists or agnostic folks, like believers. And it's crazy. I continue to hear this from believers. Like, they're like, I thought you were going to be disrespecting Christianity. I thought you were going to be da-da-da. I thought your reasoning wasn't going to be. They're like, yo, I'm impressed by, one, just how tight the reasoning is, and two, how respectful and how like balanced it seems like they're like, I almost don't even want to give you this credit, Brady, but it seems like you're being so balanced in your presentation. And so hopefully there's something winsome just in the presentation, even if you never get to agreeing with what you're reading. But yeah, definitely check out the second edition. There is the audio version if you're not a reader. My unique Monique, what's good? Says good afternoon, everyone. Welcome in Reason's name. Indeed, indeed. And we definitely got some new merch coming, some new shirts coming. One of our own ambassador, LPW, he stepped up and said, "Hey, I do graphics. Let me hook up a shirt for Ichabod." So he's working on a graphic right now for Ichabod, so that'll be popping up in the store soon. Uh, Thank you for the post there. Says make sure you get a copy of Let There Be Gaslight. And here's what else you guys can do. If you're like, yo, I can't support on the Patreon right now. But if you've got a copy of Let There Be Gaslight, what you can do is, if I don't want any fake testimonials, if you've read Let There Be Gaslight and it actually helped you process things, leave a review on Amazon. That actually helps as well. There's all kind of ways to help the channel. If you can't support financially, you can share these videos. Make sure you like while you're here. Leave a review on Amazon. All of that helps. So programming notes. I'm going to jump on. I normally do Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays. But this week, I'm going to be doing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because tomorrow I'm going to jump back on and I'm going to be sharing my thoughts, looking back at my time in Christian hip hop. And I'm going to try to do a once for all. So I'm asking people, if you got questions about my time as a Christian rapper, looking back at Christian hip hop, particularly in light of some of the things that the artist Lecrae shared recently on his channel. He did a Q&A, and one of the questions people asked him was, why does it seem like you're always trying to distance yourself from cross movement? And then he shared some things that I think are worthy of a response. It would be much more worthy of a response if I was still a Christian and still doing music. But it got to some things that made me say, that's worth a response. And then it's more the conversations around that video. Like the artist ambassador responded. I haven't seen his response yet, but then there's talk. I just spoke to somebody from Canada today. A talk that people have been saying about just that period of history and the group that I was in, that I want to clear some things up because I'm just interested in having the story told as accurately as possible when it comes to that part of my time in the Christian faith. So tomorrow, I said all that to say tomorrow, I'm going to jump online, and I think I'm going to do it probably around this time, maybe around 5 or so. Yeah, probably around 5 or so tomorrow. Look for the notification. If you're not subscribed, or if you didn't hit the notification bell, make sure you hit the notification bell so that you can get notified, because I'm not sure what time I'm going to jump on, but if you hit the notification bell, you'll get an alert when I'm on. If not, you'll just have to catch the replay. But that'll be Wednesday. And because of that, that's going to be pretty lengthy because I'm going to be taking questions. You can send your questions in. If you're on Instagram, you can inbox me your questions. If you're on Facebook, you can go to my Facebook timeline. And I think yesterday I made an announcement about this. You can put your question there under that announcement. If you don't get a question in before I go live, what you can do is you could just super chat it during the actual stream. Anything else? Oh, another thing I just found out, Durante, YouTuber Durante, deconvert, former Christian pastor, he's going to have on, what's the guy's name? Is it Christian Smith? I think is his name. He's got a community in Atlanta where he's sort of shepherding people through deconstruction. He calls himself a spiritual, what does he call himself? A spiritual atheist or something like that, a spiritual agnostic or something like that. But Durante's going to have him on his channel Thursday. So I'm like, that's probably dope that I don't do an episode Thursday so that we could all go watch Durante's stream with, I'm trying to find the guy's name because I always say his name wrong. But I think it's Christian Smith. I might be wrong. Let me see. Yeah, Christian Smith. Um, he calls himself a spiritual humanist. That's what he calls himself. So yeah, that'll be Thursday. Thank you. I did all that looking, and I could have just looked up here and saw my unique Monique just posted. Uh, so yeah, so I won't be on Thursday. I'll be on tomorrow, Wednesday, and then Thursday. If you guys are able and available, go check out Durante with Christian Smith on his channel. I'm not sure what time that'll be, but subscribe to Durante if you're not. Hit the bell there so you can get the notification as well. All right, enough of that. Shout out to all the Patreon supporters. If you're not a Patreon supporter, no hard feelings, but the list is growing of people who say, hey, I just want to send my support, $5 a month, $10 a month. Some people do more, some people do much more, just saying, hey, I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate your appreciation. All right, so thank you so much. If your name is on the screen, your name is in my heart. That being said, all of the preliminaries are out of the way. This is a call-in show. If you're a Christian, if you're a theist, you can definitely get in the queue to be one of the first folks that I talk to. Today, the claim is Christianity stole everything that it has. And what I'd like to do is I have a few favorite Bible verses, passages, I should say, that sort of help us see this is what the Hebrew Bible said. Christians call the Hebrew Bible the Old Testament. Jews are like, old? Who are you calling old? Like, no, this is the Hebrew Bible. But Christians call it the Old Testament because they say, hey, we're in the New Testament now, in Christ's blood. Well, what I like to do is compare what the Old Testament said the new covenant was going to be about, and then compare what Christians are saying to what the Hebrew Bible says itself. And in that simple exercise, I think it's undeniable that Christianity stole everything that it has, its promises, its future state, everything Christianity has, the comfort that the Christian walks around with, is stolen. Like if you've never served in the military and you rock a camouflage, one thing if you just got camouflage shorts on or a camouflage hat, no one's going to say, hey, you're acting like you served in the military. But if you got a full head to toe, like camouflage outfit on, and you got some stripes on your sleeve or a little badge, and you've never served, like that's an arrestable offense. They call that stolen valor. You're pretending that you served and you deserve a kind of honor that you really don't deserve. Well, that it has not earned. It's pretending to have honor and glory and accomplishments that it actually cannot boast of. And I want to talk about that today. But lest I beat a dead horse and run my callers away, we do have a caller in the chat. I don't know if this is a person I've spoken to before because the name does not look familiar. But caller, I'll just let you know your microphone is muted. You can unmute that because I'm about to bring you in. And if you'd like to, you could turn your camera on because I'd love to see who I'm talking to, but you don't have to. That's fine. Ground rules, if you call, just know I want to have a respectful conversation. I'm not going to be cursing you out or disrespecting you. I'm not going to allow you to do that to me either. Not going to be cutting anybody off unless if I interrupt you, it's only going to be to get more clarity or to put a magnifying glass on something you just said. So because this is my channel, I'm gonna ask that you don't get offended if I have to cut you off, or if I feel like you're taking way too long to get to your point. I may, ask you to get to the point that you're trying to make, because the show has some entertainment value for people who are watching. So I will ask you to respect those rules. If you are watching, you do have the ability to participate. You can get your red flags ready if you feel like the caller. And I'm only talking this long because the caller just they hung up like 20 seconds ago. But caller, you can call back at any time. That's fine. But get your red flags ready just in case if the call's entertainment value is dropping, or you feel like your brain cells are dying because the conversation just isn't really going anywhere. The person is using circular reasoning, or whatever. Get the red flags ready, and you put your red flags in the chat. If I see enough red flags, I will tell the caller, hey, thanks for calling, but we're going to move on. Those are the ground rules. I want to put that out there for all future callers. So just so you've heard that, I did have a caller on the hook, but that caller dropped while I was going through the rules. Maybe they figured they couldn't abide by the rules. I don't know. But caller, if you want to call back, I'm here. But anybody else, I'll put the link in the chat. Anybody you see that's got a wrench beside their name, they're one of the admins. They're dropping the link as well. If you don't feel like looking for wrenches or looking for whatever, just scroll all the way up. Sorry, Facebook, I keep forgetting to put the link in the comments for you guys. Give me a second. Let me Okay, so the title on Facebook is messed up. I got to fix the title. Give me a second. How do I do that? Edit. Okie dokes. Let me update and refresh my whatchamajam. Okay, now the title is updated on Facebook. Trisha Ray, what's going on? Trisha says, are you on Facebook? Trisha says, are you offering a paperback version of the book? Well, guess what? All right, so the link is now there on Facebook. My guy Cruz Cordero is watching. I just saw him pop in. What's up, Cordero? All right, now the link is pinned. So yeah, the link is pinned there. Let There Be Gaslight. It is available in paperback. It's available in hardback. It's available in digital if you want an ebook, and it's available in audio. So you got no excuse. If you're like, I would read it, but the only excuse you have is I would read it, but you're not going to be here reading it to me. But the audio book will give you the same feel. So you got no excuse. It is on Amazon. Let me see. Is that Mick time or MC time? As a rapper, I don't know how I should take that, but I'm going to say Mick time just because I like saying it that way. It says, be good. What's good? I seen you with Matt Dillahunty, and always wanted to catch you. So here I go. What's up? Welcome to Ichabod. So I'm saying Christianity stole everything that it has. You tell me something Christianity has, and I will tell you where it got it from. And then I'd like you to tell me how this is not thievery of the highest order. And how can you feel good about that? How can you feel good knowing that the religion that you're calling the truth jacked all of its ideas from other worldviews, other religions, other practices, some of it Greco-Roman, much of it Judaism, when it comes to the prophecies, the promises, stolen. And that's not to say that the places that Christianity stole its beliefs from, like they were true, but Christianity's not. No, it's all mythology. But I think if I could help you to see how Christianity is a patchwork of older, already established theologies, it might move you to say, well, damn, maybe I need to reconsider things. I've been going around telling people this was the truth. Maybe I need to do something different. A lot of times on my channel, I'll spend, and some people have said that they really like that part of the show. I don't tend to get too technical. Like sometimes, like the book, right? I get very technical in the book because I wrote the book because I'm arguing with, like, this book was really me wanting you to overhear my conversations with Bible scholars and Hebrew language scholars and Old Testament scholars. And I'm writing this book really to fend off the lies that they're telling to Christians. The apologist is telling Christians lies to keep them in the faith, to make the Christian feel like you've got no good reason to doubt. You've got every reason to trust. When I was beginning my doubt and having my questions, I was talking to my former professors and talking to apologists and hearing what they were saying. And I wouldn't tell them what was going on in my mind was, this is some bullshit. Many of the books that I read from Christians while I was actually going through my deconstruction, in the margins, you would just see me just writing notes. Bullshit, bullshit. This is a lie. No, no, no. Yeah. And so I'm like, damn, somebody's got to warn all the other lay folk who maybe you haven't been to seminary. Maybe you've never studied Hebrew or Greek. Maybe you, and you're going to hear what these professors and these apologists and these pastors are saying. And you're going to be like, well, I guess it makes sense if I look at it like that. I said, no, nope. Someone, because I don't know who else, I didn't know who else was going to do it. Now I realize there's a bunch of people doing it. But when I was going through my process, I'm like, someone's got to help these folk realize that they're being gaslit. And so I wrote, Let There Be Gaslight. Anyway, I said that to say this. I get into a lot of technical stuff in the book. I hardly ever do it on the podcast here. Here, I'm just really just shooting the shit, just kicking it with folks or whatever. But I've heard from a few people recently saying they really like it when I put the magnifying glass on parts of Genesis and start talking, like getting into the weeds about what's going on in Genesis 1 and Genesis 2 and 3. But mainly the reason why I go into Genesis the way that I do is I have two missions. The first mission is just to pry the hands of fundamentalists away from their over literalist interpretation of certain passages in the Bible. And the people who I help to do that, many of them don't even deconvert. They just say, oh, well, I guess I can't take that as literally as I used to. If I can just accomplish that, part of me feels like, I've done my job. Because I don't know what you're going to go on and do after I help you get rid of the literalistic interpretations that you have. But one of the things a lot of people say is, damn, maybe I need to slow down on my talking about hell and talking against evolution, and maybe I can accept some more of what we found in the natural world. I'm like, hey, if you still believe in God, but you're a little less dogmatic, I feel like job well done. That's my first aim, to pry the hands of the literalist away from their literalist interpretation. The second aim is, once you do that, though, you're either going to become a more progressive, liberal kind of Christian, or you're going to say, wait a minute, because when I get to the New Testament, these New Testament authors, they don't take Genesis as polemic or metaphorical or figurative or whatever. These New Testament authors look at Genesis, early Genesis, 1 through 11, as if it's real history. But if it's not only can I not take it literally, but maybe this New Testament that is taking it literally, maybe they don't know what the fuck they're talking about either. And I'm sorry if I'm offending you with the language, but listen, I'm giving you feedback from real conversations that I have with people who are thinking through these issues. This is not like me just trying to rip somebody's faith away, or me trying to, be satanic and make you go worship Satan. This is me being a human trying to help my fellow human beings, saying, I went around the world calling something true that now I realize I don't have good reason to call this stuff true. At least not literally, at least not that, but maybe not true in any sense of the word. So all that to say, what you're going to see me doing a lot of is walking people through parts of Genesis, or walking people through some of the quote unquote prophecies in the Old Testament that Christians claim are messianic, and realizing, wait, no, this is not. Or one of the things I like to do is walk through, like I said, what Christians claim is their birthright. Like they've snatched Israel's birthright, and they are now the recipient of the promises. They are now the recipient of the covenants. They are now the recipient of all the things that God swore by his name in the Old Testament that he was going to give to Israel. Christians are like, nope, we got it now. Like, that's bugged out to me. So enough of that. Let me go back to the chat and see what you all are saying. Do have a super chat, but let me see if anything stands out. Sha Goodwin. I was joking before when I said, why does your last name look familiar? That is my sister. I have two sisters, Ty is the oldest, and she's online on TikTok as a outspoken former Christian. My sister Shy Goodwin, maybe one day she'll jump on the pod with me. She says, I appreciate this explanation of your reasoning out. It's crazy how much people are okay with denying reason. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The line is open. If you're like, I don't want to call because I don't want to wait around, the line is open. So if you call right now, you'll be the first one in. All right. Let me go to the super chat. Hey, Eddie, thank you for the $9.99 super chat. Says, I think the Trinity is original, at least the formulation that Western Christianity settled on. Okay, go. I like that. Is the Trinity original, or is that a Christian uh, uh, reinterpretation of something that you could find in other religions? I don't know. I actually need to think about that. Is that something original? Because I don't think the Trinity. I don't think Christians were trying to create a Trinity. I think the Christian is almost like, I think Christianity stumbled into the Trinity. Like, you had different authors saying different things about Jesus. Some had him as the Son of God, and then others elevated, as his legend grew, from Son of God to actually God of very God. And then it's like, well, wait, if you say that, then it's one thing to say him and the Father are one. It's another thing to say, like, no, they're one essence, but are they one person? No, they're not one person. What are we saying again? And then they got to work out. And so, yeah, in that sense, I think the Trinity is a solution. It's not really a Christian offering. It's a Christian solution to the problem that the authors created when they were saying different things about Jesus. And then later generations had to figure out, well, if you saying he's this, but then you saying he's this, and then you saying God is one, what? The Trinity is the solution. So yes, maybe I think a channel like Myth Vision, you might be able to find something on Myth Vision where they're talking more about pre-Christian ideas of unity and diversity within the figure of God. But it might be a Christian original, but once again, it's not a Christian offering. It's a Christian solution. The writers created a problem. The Trinity was the solution to that problem. So that's as close as I can come to on the spot thinking about that. Great comment. Thank you for that. Believers, where you be? The line is open. I would love to talk to a theist who thinks, no, Christianity did not steal the promises, did not steal a covenant, did not steal a. I'd like to walk through some passages of scripture with you and just see, maybe you've got an answer that you would make me say, I need to go rethink that. Maybe Jesus is the rightful recipient and fulfillment of all these Hebrew Bible claims and promises and prophecies. You might be able to set me straight. Or I might give you some things that you like, oh, you know what, I got to think about that. Promise you what I'm not going to do is embarrass you or make you feel like you should have known X. If I can help you, even state your case. I like the not straw man. I like to still man your position. So even if I feel like, I think I see what you're trying to say, is it this? I would even try to help you make the best case for what you're trying to say. That way, we can have a more productive conversation. We don't have people watching saying, oh, this isn't fruitful because they didn't even state the claim right. Try to be as fair as possible. But I'm going to disagree. I'm just letting you know right off the bat. And we'll take it from there. If no theist calls, then I will open the line up to atheists or agnostics. I had one person who said, I wanted to call, but your topic was different than what I wanted to discuss. So if you want to discuss something and you feel like this isn't my topic, whether Christianity stole the promises from Israel or stole, that's not your topic. You've got a different topic, but it still deals with deconstruction, deconversion, the truthfulness of the Bible, the claims of actually going to make a recorded video very soon because somebody on Facebook just posted something, and I'm like, oh, this is a perfect chance to address things that I've always wanted to say. It's actually somebody that I know. I've worked with this person in the past, not in a Christian context, in a secular context. Put up a video proving from the Bible that Jesus is God. And I can't wait to address. I asked him, are you open to being challenged on this? I'm not sure if he ever responded, but I want to make a video responding to his video. Another super chat from, who is this? Oh, hey, Eddie says, I also think evangelism was uniquely a Christian thing. I don't know of other religions at the time that required conversion and specific beliefs. Conversion. I've read some things that have talked about the way that, and thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. I think before Christianity, what was more common was you could embrace a number of gods, but you kept your patron deity over all the other deities. So you weren't hearing about other gods and then making those other gods your main god, unless you were in somebody else's land and then you would sort of subscribe to their deity. Or maybe if they defeated your god, like their army defeated your army, and you might have to okay, I guess your God is God. So it was conversion, but it wasn't conversion in the sense of start disbelieving your thing and now start believing my thing. It was more a matter of hedging your bets. Which God is going to give you the best outcome? And if you see somebody else's God, their crops actually flourished and yours didn't, well, then maybe you want to not abandon your God, but maybe you want to get some of their God on your side too, so that you're strengthening your numbers. So yeah, the idea of conversion, the claim that Jesus is Lord, but no, you know what? I think I could make an argument that the idea of Jesus is Lord and you can have no Lord but Jesus, that is actually riffing off of Rome, like the Caesars. The Caesars are the lords, and you can't have any Lord but Caesar. So when Christians started making that claim about Jesus, what they were actually doing was if you knew the lingua franca, if you knew how the culture works, to say that Jesus is Lord is actually making a statement about Caesar. And the idea of conversion, the idea of having no other gods besides him, that's from Israel. You should have no other gods before me. And then Jesus is Lord. If you put those two things together, what you're really doing is you're merging Judaism and Greco-Roman, like Caesar worship. You're merging those two things. So I think I could make the case that Christian conversionism is a merger of those two things. The Shema, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one, and Caesar worship. No other gods or lords but Caesar. Put those two together and you've got Christian conversionism. What do you think about that? No need to super chat your response, hey Eddie, but I'm curious to know, what do you think about that being the precursors to Christian evangelism and conversionism? All right, I do have a call. Hey Eddie says, yes, but Caesar did not expect people to only worship him. Well, if you called someone else Lord besides Caesar, you are like you were potentially facing capital punishment. So I don't know if that's true. If you have another Lord besides Caesar, your life could actually be in jeopardy. And that's one of the reasons why the church, the early church in the second part of the first century, was facing the persecution, was because they were saying that somebody other than Caesar was Lord. But anyway, I have a call. Let me get this call in. This is somebody we've spoken to several times before, and I no disrespect when I say this, but get your red flags ready, because if I remember correctly, I might be mixing up people. I think this caller typically, I think I'm confusing him with somebody else. who typically gets red flags. But I don't remember. I talked to too many people, so forgive me. Caller, your microphone is muted. You can unmute that, and if you're going to unmute your camera, I'll give you a second to do that too. If not, don't worry about it. I'll bring you in. All right. Watcher 215, what's happening?
Hey, good evening, sir. How you doing, Mr. Be Good?
I'm doing excellent. How are you?
You able to hear me okay? Clearly
I hear
enough?
you perfectly. Yep. What's good with you?
I don't remember how many red flags I've ever gotten because I don't know. I'm not sure, but
I need to go back and watch
hopefully,
these episodes. I probably remember people better if I watch the episodes after they were done.
right. So anyway, I posted in the chat. I think John 10:8 is the most relevant scripture that comes to my mind regarding
Oh, I'm sorry, real
whether or
quick,
not.
because some people don't know who you are. You are a Christian, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Bible believing Christian, and the Bible is true is true in spirit, even if it's not 100% true in letter. Was that you that held that position?
Yeah, that was me. So is that the red flag guy or is that somebody else?
I had several people that gave that disclaimer, so it could be like I've heard that disclaimer from multiple people.
Oh yeah, the guy came on after. I think he said the same or
Yeah,
similar thing. Yeah, okay.
yep. You said John 10:8.
Uh-huh.
Let me go there real quick. And is that one of the John 10:8? Is that the before Abraham was? Is that passage or a different passage?
Nah, it's different. It's a different passage.
All right, let me see where my. All right, pulling it up now.
Okay.
Where is? All right, and I'm sorry, real quick. You said it's a perfect example of what? Like, what are you saying that this is a case of?
When I hear people say that Christianity is stealing from previous pagan beliefs or
Ah,
things, that, a whole bunch of stuff that came before, this is the
mhm.
first verse that the Holy Spirit brought to my remembrance.
Okay,
Was
so let's read it. Let me see. Hold on. Let me look at the context real quick. I'm going to go back to verse 5 real quick. Let's start at verse 1. Jesus says, I tell you the truth. The one who does not enter the sheepfold by the door, but climbs in some other way is a thief and a robber. So the context is who's legit, who has legit claims to being able to lead the people who are claiming to follow God. The one who comes in some other way by the door is a thief and a robber. Verse 2, the one who enters by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. The doorkeeper opens the door for him. The sheep hear his voice. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. Verse 4, when he has brought all his own sheep out, he goes ahead of them, and the sheep follow him because they recognize his voice. They will never follow a stranger, but will run away from him. Now, I'm just letting you know right off the bat, when I hear this kind of stuff, I hear manipulation. I immediately hear some ancient author trying to say things to make people who hear this afraid of listening to somebody who's disagreeing with the message. So I hear manipulation, but I'm gonna keep reading. Verse 5. They will never follow a stranger, but will run away from him because they do not recognize the stranger's voice. Jesus told them this parable, but they did not understand what he was saying to them. Verse 7. So Jesus said again, I tell you the solemn truth. I'm reading in the NET version. I am the door for the sheep. All who came before me were thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not listen to them. Now, here's why I say it does not apply to what I'm saying. You could say maybe it applies to the Greco-Roman pantheon. Like if there's any similarities between Jesus and any of them, they're thieves and robbers. Don't listen to them. But the main thing that Christianity stole much of its juice from is not the Greco-Roman pantheon. The main thing that Christianity stole its juice from is Judaism. So the question will be, if you want to apply this verse to them, are you saying that the authors of the Hebrew Bible or the prophets of the Hebrew Bible, that they were thieves and robbers?
No, not at all. Because what I'm saying, what I get out of this that verse that we just in John 10:8 is that when he says all, and I'm sure that Greek word is pas, all who came before me are thieves and robbers. I feel like when he said also that he was the truth in the flesh, being revealed to the world, that means that you ever heard that I'm sure you heard that saying, all truth is God's truth. You
Mm-hmm.
heard that before. So
Yep.
that means that any truth that anybody acquires or obtains, it's all coming from God. So I think that's kind of the sense that I take that scripture. He's saying all who came before me are thieves and robbers. In other words, yeah, people have said things and that are congruent with the teachings of Christ as well, that before he was born, that's granted, but before Abraham was, I am. He also said that. So basically,
Yeah.
he's saying he is the truth that everyone is drawing from. But now I'm
So
here
I
in
don't
the
know.
flesh. Go ahead.
No, I get you. My sister asked a good question. It's on the screen. Why has he got to keep saying, "I'm telling you the truth"? Why do you think Jesus has to keep saying that? Like, it's. Do you think Jesus went around telling people, "I tell you the truth. I'm telling you the truth," or do you think it's likely that the authors are sticking this in there to sort of like quiet the question in the reader's mind, like, can I trust this? And then the authors keep sticking these verily, verilies, I tell you the truth sayings to quiet the natural, justifiable questions that are going to arise in somebody's mind if Jesus comes on the scene, claims to be the long-awaited Messiah, doesn't do what the long-awaited Messiah was supposed to do, and now people are questioning, and so they got to start putting words in Jesus's mouth, saying, "Hey, hey, I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you the truth." Like, why do you think Jesus has to keep assuring people, "I'm telling you the truth"? Like who does that, and why would he do that?
I think he's doing that because he's the light of the world coming into such the predominance of darkness and lies is
Mhm.
so profound that it's necessary to say that very thing because the lies are so abundant. I mean, you and I were born into a mountain of lies, and everyone before us, for the most part, and people that are being born now are being born into so many lies. So I think that
Yeah.
the reason that he's saying that is not use this word manipulate. When you say manipulation, that was the other thing you said
Mhm.
that I kind of keyed in on because I was actually meditating and thinking about that word manipulation earlier today.
Mhm.
Um, would you say that a teacher is manipulating their students?
I would think so if the teacher cannot just rest on their credentials and their knowledge and their experience and their their argumentation. If a teacher kept saying all throughout class, "Trust me, I'm telling you the truth." Da, 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 trust me, like imagine if your wife, right, would say, "Babe, trust me, I'm going to the store. Babe, trust me, I'm talking to my auntie right now. Babe, trust me, I'm telling you the truth. I'm just going to," like, if she kept telling you trust me every time she told you something, at some point you would say, why do you keep prefacing everything you say with "babe, trust me"? Like, that's suspicious, isn't it?
That the way that you contextualize that example, yeah, that would seem suspicious, definitely. But the way I'm hearing Christ in the age that I'm living in, I think it's
Mhm.
very poignant that he does, in fact, say verily so much. In fact, I think it was necessary that he said it the way he said it, and we are able to hear it in this time the way I'm hearing it, and hopefully the way other people
Right.
would hear it.
Now, here's the crazy thing, though. It's not just that he keeps saying trust me, trust me, trust me. Everybody else is a thief and a robber. I'm not. Yet, over and over and over again, the Christian or Jesus, if he said these things, is stealing prophecies and promises from the Hebrew Bible that don't actually fit Jesus. If Jesus is constantly stealing promises and prophecies from the Hebrew Bible and then saying, "But trust me, I'm no thief," that would be a little like wait. So let me ask you a question. I ask this frequently on my platform. Isaiah 53. Who do you think Isaiah 53 is talking about?
I think it's applicable to Christ. Yeah.
You think it's talking about Jesus?
Yeah.
Why?
It just rings true to me when I
Mhm.
read that. And knowing Christ's what the gospel account says, and they seem to go together to me.
Got you. Now, have you ever read through the book of Isaiah?
Absolutely.
So you're familiar with the servant songs, right?
Hmm.
The servant songs. So we're talking about Isaiah 53. The servant songs start in Isaiah 42, but as early as Isaiah 41, you start seeing the idea of God's servant show up in Isaiah
Hmm.
41. You're familiar with that, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know offhand, and it's okay if you don't, I'm not trying to like have a gotcha because we can turn there and maybe I will. Do you know offhand who the servant is in Isaiah 41?
Let me look at it before I answer.
Sure.
I want to. Uh,
Are you turning to it now?
yeah, I'm trying. I'm trying to get there. Forgive
Okay.
me for being a little bit slow.
No, it's all good.
Say Isaiah 41, right?
Yep.
41. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Isaiah 41. Okay. Keep silent before me, island. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm there. All right.
Um, I'm sorry.
Particular verse.
Do I have it up?
Particular. Yeah.
I
How
think
about
I'm in
verse? How
Isaiah
about
42.
you
I'm
said?
it's in Isaiah 41 as well, but I think I went to Isaiah 42. That might be what I really
Well,
wanted.
in Isaiah 41:8, it says, "But you, Israel, my servant, Jacob,
Right.
whom
That's
I
the
have chosen."
first.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
the
Jacob.
first time it's mentioned is in Isaiah 41. The servant songs start in Isaiah 42. I wanted to start in Isaiah 41 because that's the first time he mentions who the servant is. So you
Uh
just
huh.
read the verse. I thought I had it pulled up, but can you
Uh
read it?
huh.
Because I don't have it pulled up. Isaiah 41:8 says what?
Yeah. I'm reading out of the World English Bible, and it says, "But you, Israel, my servant, Jacob, whom I have chosen, the offspring of Abraham, my friend."
Okay. So the servant in Isaiah 41 is Israel, right? The people of God. That's his servant.
Yep. Right. I agree.
Isaiah 42 starts off talking about the servant, and this is the first servant song. It starts off with, "Here is my servant whom I support, my chosen one in whom I take pleasure." And what happens is a lot of times people see in Isaiah 53, they see it talking about him and they think, oh, the servant is one person. But as far back as Isaiah 42, you start seeing this like sometimes the servant is spoken of singularly, and sometimes the servant is spoken of corporately. It's called a collective noun. So even if
Hmm.
you're talking about the person as a singular, you're actually talking about a collection of people as that servant. You see this in
Okay.
Isaiah 41, you see it in Isaiah 42, you see it in Isaiah 43, 44. And as Isaiah 45, the servant switches. And for the first time, the servant is not Israel. Do you know who it is in Isaiah 45?
We can look at it. Uh,
Okay. Do I have it pulled up already? Let me see. Uh, no, I don't have it pulled up. So let me
Cyrus.
turn to it.
This
Oh, yeah. So you already got
Yahweh.
it there. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yahweh says
Yes.
to, in verse 1 says, Yahweh says to his anointed, to Cyrus, whose right
Yes.
hand I have held to subdue nations before him and to strip kings of their armor, to open the
Yep.
doors before him, and the gates shall not be shut.
Yep. And so in Isaiah 45, he calls servant, I'm sorry, he calls Cyrus his servant. I'm trying to see if I get the exact verse because I don't have it all in front of me. 45:14. Is that what it is?
Yahweh says, the labor of Egypt and the merchandise of Ethiopia and the Sabians, men of stature, shall come over to you. They shall be yours.
So here he's telling Israel, once he uses Cyrus, he's going to use Cyrus to get the boot of Egypt and Babylon off of Israel's neck. The whole context of this section of scripture is God telling Israel, you were wayward, you were unfaithful, I judged you, I let Babylon, I let Egypt, I let all these other nations trash you and take you captive and all that, but I'm going to judge the nations that I used to judge you. And in chapter 45, he makes Cyrus his servant. Cyrus is the Persian. He's going to lead the Persians in, and he's going to get Babylon, Egypt off of Israel's neck. That's what all these passages are talking about. Would you agree?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Um, he goes on all throughout the rest of these. You go to Isaiah 47, 48, you get up to 49. It's still the servant is Israel. For the most part, it's Israel. Isaiah 49, verses 1 through 3. My servant Israel, called from birth. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to read that one. I had a bunch of Isaiah passages pulled up. I think I want to read Isaiah 49, verses 1 through 3. Can you turn there real quick?
49. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Verses 1 through 3. Can you read that?
Okay. Listen, I said 49, 1 through 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Listen, islands, to me. Listen, you peoples from afar. Yahweh has called me from the womb. From the inside of my mother, he has mentioned my name. He has made my mouth like a sharp sword. He has hidden me in the shadow of his hand. He has made me a polished shaft. He has kept me close in his quiver. He said to me, you are my servant, Israel, in whom I will be glorified.
Okay. Now, granted, when I was a Christian, we used to read the first couple passages of that, and we used to think like that's Jesus in Mary's womb. Do you think that this passage is referring to Jesus or Israel?
Israel.
Why not Jesus?
Because it plainly says in verse 3, you are my servant, and he names Israel, in whom
Okay.
I will be glorified. It's pretty plain to me. When
Okay.
I've been in church, I'm sure as long as you have, and I don't recall, not to say it never happened, but I just never
Mm-hmm.
recall uh, any pastor, anybody, saying this was Jesus in his mother's womb. But I might have missed that. I'm not.
No, it's all
I'm sure
good.
that's
No,
obviously
because
was
we used to
said.
cut and
Yeah.
paste. We wouldn't take verse 3. We would just take verses 1 and 2, where
Oh, right.
in the womb Jesus was a baby. So Christians often cut and paste. They don't take whole parts of Isaiah. They just take, this part here, and then another chapter, this part here, put those two together, and then they get Jesus in Isaiah. When if you take it in context, you don't actually see that.
So you have to remember, you and I, as black men from Philly, when we got saved, we was told that we was Gentiles who believed in Christ. Isn't that what you was told? Isn't that what you believed when you became a Christian?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was told that too, but I I have modified my position on that. After it was like 30 years, I was thinking I was a Gentile believer in Christ.
Oh, you
But
so are you saying that you're one of the ones that like you think you're actually a part of Israel, like by birth?
I think black people in America have a connection with the remnant of Jacob, the seed of Jacob that the scriptures speak about prophetically. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not even going to dive into that. I wholeheartedly disagree, but we're not even going to dive into that on this
That's fine.
episode.
That's
Um,
fine. That's
yeah,
fine.
before we go to Isaiah 53, can we just do one more passage? Can we look at Isaiah 52?
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, please.
There might be one more thing I want to read in Isaiah 51. Let me check real quick. Let me see. All right, let's go to Isaiah 52. And let's just look at verses 13 to 15.
Okay.
Let me know when you're there.
I'm there. 13.
Okay,
We
I'm
on
gonna read it.
13. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna read in the NET if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
Says, look, my servant will succeed. He will be elevated, lifted high, and greatly exalted. So when you see the he there, who do you think that he is?
As I'm reading this, because it says to be lifted up, immediately my mind goes to Christ. But I
To
will
Christ, right?
but I haven't. I know I've already read through this, but I'm only
Yeah.
looking at the 3 verses right now. I'm not looking at the whole context.
Okay.
But go ahead.
It's the same context of God telling Israel, you've paid for your sins doubly. Isaiah 40 says, I think it's verses 2 or 3, says that Israel has paid doubly for their sins and God's going to restore them. So this whole section is about God putting Israel back in their land and making them the head and not the tail, and having all the other nations come, and they're gonna march behind Israel as captives. That's what this whole section of scripture is about. So even though it
Okay.
says
Yeah.
he will, yeah, even though it says
Hmm.
he will be lifted up, the he here is still talking about the nation of Israel as God's servant. It's figuratively saying he, but it's talking about Israel. He will be greatly elevated, lifted high, and greatly exalted. Verse 14, just as many were horrified by the sight of, some versions say he, him, some say you, but it's still talking about the servant. Just as many were horrified by the sight of you, he was so disfigured, he no longer looked like a man. Now, I would imagine there, you're like, now come on, this is first you got the lifted up language in verse 13. Now you got the disfigured language that didn't look like a man. This has got to be Jesus, right? Would you say that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what I don't understand is when you read this, how is it that your
Mhm.
mind is saying that instead of, it's almost like when people read the gospel, they feel like
Mhm.
they're contradictory. They find all these contradictions. Well, I would suggest to everybody, all the listeners, what you see in the Bible is not only it's also a revelation of what's inside of you. Because just as much as you reading it, it's reading your heart. But I'm not gonna digress there. But I'm just saying,
So my not seeing Jesus here is a reflection of my heart, is what you're saying.
well, what I'm saying is when you see contradiction, when I read it, I'm seeing I'm seeing that the truth of what Israel was and what God did for Israel, as well as the prophetic nature of what was spoken by the prophet as it relates to Christ himself. They're both they're both speaking to both things at the same time. That word is actually applying to Israel as well as the servant who is Christ, because Christ came
Hold
as a
on,
servant.
hold on. Why would you say it's applying to both? Like, so you're saying,
Why?
are you willing to
I'm
say it applies to Israel too? Is that what you're saying? Like, it's not just
yeah,
Jesus here, it's Israel too?
yes, that's what I see. That's what I when
Okay,
I
but
read
but
that.
can you help me with this? Can you help me with this?
Sure.
The people who are receiving this message in Isaiah 52, what good would it have done them for this to be applying to Jesus? And how would you ever get a Jesus out of
Oh,
this? Like,
no,
where do you
they
see a
wouldn't.
Jesus here?
Those people that were reading it back then wouldn't have no clue probably about Jesus, because this is and that's
But
fine
but you're
because
saying it
every
applies to both, not just one of them. It applies to both
I'm
Israel and Jesus, right?
I'm saying yeah, I have that understanding because of the time that I live in.
Got you. So let's see. I wasn't going to do this, but since you said that, I want to see. Let's see what else in this passage before we get to 53 can apply to both Israel and Jesus. Since you want to make the servant both of them, the beginning of the chapter is wake up, clothe yourself with strength, O Zion. Is that talking to Israel and Jesus, or just one of the two?
What verse are you reading? Are you reading
Verse
now?
1, chapter 52,
Uh huh.
verse 1.
Oh, verse 1. Okay.
Yeah,
Awake, awake.
wake up, clothe yourself with strength, O Zion. Israel and Jesus, or just one of the two?
I think that's Israel. It's talking about Israel. It mentions
Okay.
Jerusalem also.
Uh,
And it says
put
the
on,
holy
put on
city.
your beautiful clothes, O Jerusalem, holy city, for uncircumcised and unclean pagans will no longer invade you. Is that Israel and Jesus, or just one of the two?
I think that's speaking of Israel specifically. But when you let me
Why
ask you
not
this
Jesus?
question. Well, see, this is let me ask you this question.
Mhm.
Is Jesus Israel?
No,
Why would you say that?
uh, because Jesus is an actual person, and here, wherever you see the language pared down to a figurative person, the person is always representative of a collective noun. Is Jesus a collective noun, or is he a person?
No, Jesus was an Israelite.
Right, but is an Israelite Israel? Is
Yes,
an Israelite the nation?
yes. The
And
nation is
one person is the nation?
The people. No, the people. The people are the nation.
Right, but is a person the nation? I think we would say no, right? A person is not a nation.
Well, a person is one person. Yes, I'm not. I'm not disputing that.
Right.
But what I'm
And
saying
for
is
that reason,
the
I
per.
wouldn't say that Jesus is Israel.
So, and it's like if I said because I'm quote unquote American, and I say and I put a T-shirt out that says I am America. Is that not valid? Is that
Figuratively,
not true?
figuratively, you could say that, but I would not
Hmm.
like, I'm not going to take a flight to you when I go to visit America.
Well, I mean that's understood, but there's
Right.
also a truth in that that T-shirt that's very valid and true. I am America. And if I said to you because Jesus is an Israelite, he is in fact Israel. He represents Israel. I think that's a valid
If
statement.
God only rescued Jesus, would God be able to say he kept his promise to the nation of Israel if he only rescued Jesus?
What promise are we speaking about?
The promise to restore Israel, to put them back in the land, to make them the head and not the tail, to give them a new covenant, to put his spirit within them and cause them to walk in his ways. If God only did that to Jesus, would he be keeping his promise to Israel?
I think that's in fact how he's going to do it because those that are in Christ will receive that promise because of the
So
fact that
you're basically laying out the stolen valor that I was speaking of. Because now God doesn't have to do anything for the nation. God can just do it for one person. And then not even physically, God can just spiritually do it for Jesus and never have to really make good on his promises. That's thievery.
the point is
But
I can't steal something that's mine, right? If it belongs to me, there's no theft or thievery involved at all. It belongs to me.
I think I see where you're going. Let's read a little bit further and see if we can wrap this up. And I haven't even been watching the chat. Let me make sure we're not rolling in red
Did
flags.
I get red? Yeah, I don't want to
I don't
get
see
red
any.
flag.
I
Oh,
don't see
okay.
any.
That's
Let me.
I'm I'm glad to hear that. All right.
All right. Let's read a little bit more.
Okay.
I think you see the exercise that I'm going through here. As you read
Hmm.
the chapter 52, you see a bunch of things that would make you say, that's Israel, that's Israel, that's Israel, that's Israel. But then when you get down to the he will be lifted up, all of a sudden your mind says, oh, Jesus said, if I'm lifted up, I'll draw that this verse. All of a sudden, when the whole passage was talking about Israel, now you're willing to say, oh, this must be Jesus. Now, here's what I would say. I'm going to go back because we got 12 verses before we got to 13. We get down to verse 13, and it says, "Look, my servant will succeed. He will be elevated, lifted up, lifted high, and greatly exalted, just as many were horrified by the sight of you." And you're thinking, "Oh, Jesus was disfigured. This says a man's going to be disfigured. This has to be Jesus." Now, look, for the sake of argument, I'm going to give you that. Let's just say this is talking about Jesus too.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're saying Jesus too, that means it has to have a application for Israel. So then what's the application for Israel? We know the application for Jesus. He was lifted up on the cross. He was beaten beyond recognition. And so maybe this verse is talking about him. I'm going to, for the sake of argument, I'm going to give you that. What would be the application of this to Israel? Calling Israel a man and saying he was disfigured and no longer looked like a man. What would be the application of that to Israel?
I would have to say, and this is just coming from Jeff Watcher. We share, I say we, because I even consider myself to be sharing in that same suffering and that Christ endured on this planet. I feel like I shared in that, and I feel like all of Israel, all of his brethren who also go through that same suffering in this world. And we, you know, you can't say we were marred also more than any man, you know.
How?
And we were.
I'm asking you how. What's the application?
Just the application is man's inhumanity to man, like the things that everything that was done to Christ, you know, as far as him getting beat down and just, you know, accused wrongly. You know, he was an innocent man that was actually.
We get the Christ part. I'm asking you for the Israel part. How do you
the Israel? I'm saying the nation of Israel, all of those people that are Israel in the earth, right? All of the suffering that they have suffered in history, and of course other nations of people also have suffered. So we're not discounting it, but we're just saying that the application is the same suffering that Christ suffered in the earth, his brethren suffered also, who are also in the earth.
How did they suffer it? What like
through wicked men doing wicked things to them.
So are you talking like things like the Holocaust? Like what? Like give me an example.
That's just one example among so many more. But just the general wickedness, man's inhumanity to man, which has its origin in a spiritual reality. But I ain't gonna get on a soapbox and start preaching. But the reality is that same suffering and that same injustice and all of this stuff that's all of history.
Let me stop you because you're saying the same thing. What you're doing is you're overlooking that this text has a context. Remember, in verse 40, it begins with God telling Israel, "You've paid for your sins doubly." Here it says, "He was so disfigured, he no longer looked like a man." It's talking about something that's happened in the past. It's not talking about something that's going to happen in the future. It's saying whoever this man is, whoever this servant is, has had an experience that they no longer look like the way they looked before that experience. If you would have asked me the question I asked you, I would say, oh, this passage is talking about Israel. Even though they were a nation, they no longer looked like a nation. They were disfigured. They lost their king. They lost their temple. They lost everything that made them look like a stand-up nation and the people of God. They no longer have that. That's what this is saying.
I think you're
okay.
No, I was just saying I think that's true. I think what you're saying is true from that.
It's talking about what they went through. What they went through. But now look. So here it says his form was so marred, he no longer looked like a man. You're saying this is Israel and Christ. I'm saying that this is clearly Israel. I'm not sure how we're going to get this to be Christ. But then look what happens in verse 15. So now he, whoever this he is, will startle many nations. Kings will be
Startle.
shocked.
Wait,
Startled.
hold on, because I'm looking at my version. What version
Yeah,
you reading out again?
I'm reading the NET.
Because the
The
reason I
word is
stopped you,
yes. Go ahead.
the reason I stopped you is because my version says, "So he will cleanse many nations."
And what version are you reading?
That's the World English Bible. It's similar to the New American Standard, I think.
So depending on how it's translated, like you could take it. There are different tenses of a word.
Hmm.
Like you got different stems, like the Hithel stem, and all these different stems. If you take
Hmm.
this verb in the Hithel stem, it becomes causative. And I don't want to get into all the Hebrew of this, but basically the idea is if you take it in a certain if you conjugate it a certain way, it could have the idea of sprinkling, and then paint the picture becomes the picture of a priest in the temple. So maybe that's why your version says cleanse here.
Yeah, I'm looking at the that word, and at this other version I'm looking at says sprinkle. He shall sprinkle many nations.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
mine says cleanse, yours says sprinkle. But go ahead. That's why I stopped you. But go, we
Well,
can
no,
continue.
it can be translated that way depending on how you take it. But
Uh
the
huh.
NET takes it as startle, and it has its
Uh
own
huh.
reasons for doing this. The
Uh
next
huh.
passage, and this is kind of why, the next passage says, because of him, or um, kings will be shocked because of him, or their mouths will be stopped, depending on which way you take the clause. Their mouths will be stopped, or the kings will be shocked by his exaltation, for they will witness something unannounced to them. They will understand something they had not heard. So basically, what
Hmm.
this is saying is all the kings who put this nation down, those kings are now going to look at this nation be exalted and say, we didn't think this was possible. We didn't think that they would come back. We didn't think they'd be able to survive what happened to them. And now look, they're being exalted. This is a
Hmm.
promise to Israel that this is what's
Hmm.
going to happen to them.
I agree.
Kings, nations are going to be shocked by what happens to this restoration, not a resurrection, a
Hmm.
restoration of
Right.
Israel, right?
Right. Hmm.
That's the prelude to the passage that many Christians want to say, oh, chapter 53, guess what that's talking about? That's Jesus. So when you get to
Hmm.
verse chapter 53, it begins, who would believe what we just heard, or who's believed our report? Everything we just read in chapter 52, who's going to believe this when it happens that this servant who was downtrodden is going to actually be put on top? And
Hmm.
then it goes into all the things that Christians want to say, that's talking about Jesus. But no,
Hmm.
in the context, it's talking about God's servant who, since chapter 41, it's been telling you the servant is Israel. Since chapter
Hmm.
40, it's been telling you Israel has paid for its sins doubly. And so now
Hmm.
you get to this chapter 53, and it starts telling you, hey, guess what? This one that we all thought was stricken by God, and we thought that God had rejected him. Guess what? This servant is now going to become, and the servant, you could either say it's a generation of Israel, or it's the nation overall being spoken of as a collective now. This passage is clearly saying God's going to restore Israel, and all the bad things that happened to Israel, it's going to look like, yo, we nobody expected this. Like if you watch your team in the NBA finals, if they're down by 30 points at the end of the third quarter and you're ready to call it a wrap, you're like, yo, it's over. There's no way they're going to come back. And you cut the game off, and then you start hearing people like cheering in your neighborhood. You go outside, like, yo, what happened? Yo, we won. We won. You're like, how did we win? I cut the game off at the end of the third. We were down by 30. I can't believe what this passage is saying is what God, it's a promise. What God
Yes.
is going to do to Israel, no one's going to believe when he restores them to their land.
Hmm.
This is not about a Jesus. This is about Israel, the servant of God that you've been reading about since chapter 40. You don't see that though.
No, I see the reality and the truth of that it is Israel,
Mhm.
as well as Christ. The arm of Yahweh is Christ, and that in 53 kind of brings it out very explicitly. And I that's why I connect those two, and I don't think they're contradictory. I think they're complementary, just like the Gospels are.
But wouldn't that make it superfluous if both Israel and Jesus have to go through this? Like, why do they both have to go through it?
I think it's two. It's in the let every matter be established in the mouth of two or three witnesses, and I think Israel is a
What?
witness. So what I'm saying is Israel, the nation of Israel, and their history in the earth is a witness, as well as Christ Himself is also a witness.
If Israel paid doubly for their sins, as chapter 40 says, why does Jesus need to pay for their sins? You see what I
I
mean?
don't I don't know why. I'm not going to tell you the reason why. I just believe that it was done.
Did God did
Apparently
God do
apparently
that?
apparently okay. What comes to my mind now is Jesus praying in the Garden of Gethsemane. If it
Mhm.
could be have been done any other way, then yes, it would have been done the other way. But this is the way that it was done. So
So,
I'm good
but
with
I'm
that.
not sure if or maybe you're saying you don't know. This passage starts off telling Israel, you paid doubly for, like I overcharged you for your sins. That's how much I punished you for your sins.
Well, did
Now
he
look at
overcharge? Hold on a second. Let's go back because we talked about this a little earlier. Did they get paid doubly actually against God's? Because in other words, he used other nations to bring judgment on
judgment.
Israel, and
Mhm.
then he turned around and said, "Wait a minute, y'all went a little too far, so I'm gonna judge y'all." Because
Mhm.
y'all went a little extra on Israel more than what I, wanted you to do. So he had to
Well,
turn
no, no,
around
no, no,
and
no.
judge
It
them.
never says that y'all went extra. Matter of fact, God says, you go back to Deuteronomy, God tells Israel, uh, supposedly in a prophecy, I'm going to make it so bad on y'all. Matter of fact, there's passages in the Bible where God says, you all are going to be, things like Deuteronomy 32 or 31. God says, you're going to be cannibalizing your own children. That's how bad I'm going to make it on you.
That's
God doesn't
true.
tell the
Yeah.
other nations you went too far. He just says, now
Now,
that I've used
maybe
you, now
maybe
I'm going
not
to
in
judge you.
maybe not in the passages that we've read, but
Right.
that definite what am I premise that has been spoken by other prophets. In other words, just like he's using other nations to judge Israel, he's done that over and over again throughout history. And there's a particular place, I just can't name it right at
Yeah.
this particular time. He specifically says, "You nations that I sent in judgment against Israel, y'all went
Mhm.
too far." I'm paraphrasing, but essentially that's what he's saying. And because you
He
went too
told
far,
Assyria, you were my
I'm
hammer. I used you to hammer Israel, but now I'm going to
mhm,
hammer you because what he says to Assyria is not you went too far. He says to Assyria, you thought you did it on your own in your own might. And because you thought you did it in your own might, now I'm going to judge you. Not
right.
you went too far, just you thought you did it on your own. You didn't realize I was the power behind you smashing Israel the way you did. And because of that,
Mhm.
now I'm going to judge you.
Yeah, the judgments are deep, man. He's the judgment of the
But I think
entire
that you're
world,
still missing
judge
the
of the
point
entire
here.
world, huh?
The point here
Huh?
is Israel pays doubly for their sins, and now you want to make Jesus another payment for sins? When this passage says you've paid for your sins, people thought you were afflicted by God, being punished by God, but now God's going to restore you, and no one's going to believe it, but I'm going to do it. And now, like for some odd reason, like Jesus is necessary when
What's
God
the payment?
promised them you've already paid for your sins.
What's the payment for sin?
For Israel, the payment was their affliction, their being
Affliction,
carried away, losing
affliction.
their land. losing their
Affliction,
king,
right?
losing their land, losing their
Another,
temple.
in other words, they had affliction and suffering, right? A whole bunch of suffering, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So, um, somehow suffering, or I should say, the result of sin, or what sin brings, is suffering. It brings suffering.
And they suffered.
Hmm.
And God took
Doubly.
account and said, you've suffered enough.
Okay. He said you suffered enough.
Not no, I'm sorry. I want to make sure I make this point clear. He doesn't say you suffered enough. He literally
Hmm.
says you've paid double for your sins. Why
Okay.
in the world is a Jesus sacrifice necessary? Why is Isaiah 52 and 53 about Israel and Jesus when the whole point of this passage is Israel has paid for her sins and God's going to restore her?
So what's the question you're asking me? Just
The
so I'm
question is
understanding.
why is a Jesus sin payment necessary if this passage that you're saying here is about Jesus, but this whole passage, the point of it is Israel's already paid for their sins and God's going to restore them. Why is a Jesus necessary? How is this
Okay,
passage about Jesus and Israel when they've already paid for their sins? I'm trying to help.
because
I
the
want you to help me
suffering of Christ,
understand.
because the suffering of Christ was necessary to redeem you and me. That's
You just
why.
said you're
That's why I
Israel,
said
right?
yes.
But Isaiah 40 says Israel's already paid doubly for her sins. Why is a Jesus sacrifice necessary? If you're Israel, why is Jesus necessary to redeem you when the passage starts off by saying they're done paying for their sins? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, I would have to say that the suffering that Israel went through was not
Mhm.
sufficient to get.
So God says you paid double for your sins. You're like,
Mhm.
double ain't enough.
Well, it's not sufficient to actually give eternal life, which is what Christ suffered to give.
But here's the thing. So we haven't even gotten to most of the passages I want to get to. None of these passages in Isaiah is about eternal life. It's about them living in the land that God is giving them. Matter of fact, in Isaiah 65, which I'm pretty sure we've already talked about, in Isaiah 65, God says, I'm going to create a new heaven and a new earth. And in this new heaven and new earth, doesn't say there's going to be no more death. He says a young man is going to die at 100. Then you get to the New Testament and it says, I'm going to make a new heaven and a new earth, and there's going to be no death. The New Testament is talking about a different kind of paying for sin, a different kind of new heaven and new earth, a different kind of restoration. It's taking everything we see in the Old Testament and turning it into some spiritual, unrecognizable, something you don't see in the Old Testament, something you see the exact opposite of. There is no eternal life here. It's simply you're eternally dwelling in the land generation after generation, not one generation living forever. There is no eternal life here. Christians are stealing these promises, these prophecies, and then changing them into spiritual, eternal things that these passages have nothing to do with. Isaiah 65 says, a young man in the new heaven and new earth, the young man is going to die at 100 years old. There's going to be death because it's not about eternity. It's about God's promises to Israel here. You, even if you think you're Israel, you're not dealing with these passages. You're dealing with the New Testament's reimagination of these passages. And this is thievery and robbery, even though Jesus says, I tell you the truth, I'm not a thief, I'm not a robber, I'm the door. The thieves and robbers come in some other way. Jesus is the thief and the robber coming in another way, saying, hey, guess what? I'm going to die, I'm going to pay for your sins. When God told Israel, you've already paid for them twice.
So, brother, be good. Where do you, at this point in your life, where do you think your understanding comes from of anything that you say you understand? What's the origin of that understanding?
Understanding language, understanding history, understanding context. I mean, it's a matter of understanding.
Right. We know that it's understanding. What I'm asking is, what's the source of your understanding?
My neural networks.
Right. Okay. I'm with you because I'm just like you. But
Mhm. You still there? I think I lost you. Let me go back and check the chat. Any red flags? I got well, only Daryl Williams threw the red flags and nobody joined them. So I don't know. I got so lost in the conversation. I literally almost forgot that we were online and we lost a watcher. I thought I was going to come back here and see a bunch of red flags. Did y'all? I don't see many others. I only spend as much time on this because I think this is utterly important for Christians to realize. There's a context to Isaiah 53, and Isaiah 53 is superfluous if both Israel and Jesus is paying for sins. And I don't think there's a good Christian answer to that unless you spiritualize everything and just say, Israel rejected Jesus, so God changed his mind. And if that's what you want to say, I'd love to tell you why that's not going to get you out of this problem. Thank you for that. Mythos Boy says, if you have another caller, maybe wrap this up and take it. I didn't even I got so into the discussion, I forgot to even check for other callers this entire time. So maybe somebody jumped in the queue and then fell back out. I don't even know because I wasn't even watching. But if there's a Christian out there who thinks there's a good answer as to why Isaiah 52, 53, these passages that I will admit, they can sound like, well, hey, Jesus suffered, the servant suffered, Jesus is the servant. I would love to hear from a Christian who thinks there's a good answer as to why both Israel and Jesus can be the referent in these passages. Decipher, what's good? Decipher says Isaiah is critical. It was a needed discussion and probably deserves its own topic on live. I would agree. There's so many, like I could dive into almost any one of these passages from Isaiah 40 to Isaiah 53 and show you how Israel is clearly in view and the context is clearly restoring Israel. Because one of the things that me and Watcher didn't get to talk about is like part of the discussion is God didn't fulfill the prophecy for even Israel. We see the first part where clearly they paid doubly for their transgressions because look at how oppressed they were. We see that. Where do we see Israel being restored to the point where the kings of the earth are looking saying, wow, we didn't? Where do we see any of that? From Isaiah 53 all the way up into the New Testament, the closest we get is you don't even get that until the 20th century, where where the Western world helps create a new state of Israel. Like that's as close as you get, which is why many Christians in America rejoiced when they saw that because they're oh, maybe now we can say that God didn't leave Israel hanging. Maybe we can look at the things Paul said in Romans 9 through 11, like, oh, maybe God withheld the promise from them for a while so that he could bring the Gentiles in, and now he's going to restore, it's going to bring Jew and Gentile and make one new nation. Like, you got to do all these historical gymnastics to try to get a fulfillment out of these passages we just read in Isaiah. But clearly, like down here on the ground, the God of the Bible did not fulfill these promises that were made to Isaiah, which is why the early church had to spiritualize all of these things and make them about Jesus and this new people of God. And if there's a Christian who thinks there's a better explanation, the line is open. I'm going to put the link in the chat again. If you're on Facebook, it's the pinned comment. If you're on Instagram, it's in my bio. click the StreamYard link in my bio. That will allow you to call in. I would love to hear why you think that that Christianity is the rightful recipient, fulfillment of these passages that we just read in Isaiah. Got a few super chats. Did I read this one? Oh, this one that just came in. Decipher Music, thank you for the $4.99 super chat. Side note, I found out that it's a bad idea to come out atheist to boomer parents. Oh no. We gotta holler. We gotta kick it. I think it's been a minute since we kicked it in Facebook Messenger, but found out it's a bad idea to come out to boomer parents. I just had a friend today hit me up and tell me that he told some folks from our old probably can't say too much. Anyway, I won't say too much because that person's not out the closet yet. Never mind. Yeah, it's rough. It's rough. But it's life. We're all doing this thing called life. We're all trying to make the most of it, trying to make the best of it, trying to live authentically, trying to be at peace. And it's not easy. But this is why we're here, because we help each other to do that. And I hope that you all are doing that in the chat. All right. So believers, where you at? Theists, where you at? And like I think I was about to say this a minute ago before Watcher called in. I started saying this. If you're out there and you're like, I want to talk to you, Brady, but I don't want to talk about that. If you have a discussion that you think is worthwhile, I will entertain some other kind of discussion. If you're a theist and you want to talk about something else, you can call in on a different topic and we can actually pivot, even though I might bring it back to some of this if it ends up being relevant. I will try to find some kind of way to tie it in together. But programming note, I said this at the beginning of the program, but maybe you all didn't catch it. This week, I'm going to be on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, which means I'll be back on tomorrow, because I'm going to be addressing questions about my thoughts on Christian hip hop, what it was, what it's become. Lecrae's comments on his relationship to cross movement and some related topics. I'm going to be addressing that tomorrow. Probably going to be getting online around 5 p.m. tomorrow to do that live. And then I won't be on Thursday. Thursday, Durante Lamar on his channel, he's going to have on Christian Smith. If you know, Christian Smith is a social media influencer, calls himself a spiritual humanist, helping people to deconstruct religion and the bad ideas and bad ideologies that come from many world religions. So that'll be Thursday on Durante Lamar's channel. Not sure what time, but go check out his channel and you'll know what time. No more program notes. So the line is clear. And like I said, if the theists are not going to call in, if you're an atheist or agnostic and you want to sound off on something that we talked about already today or on the topic, we'll take a minute or two to let you call in to sound off. I'd like to even talk to an atheist or agnostic person that I've never spoken to before. That would be a treat too. So the line is open. The link is in the chat. I'm going to be here just eating some fruit and chilling for a little bit. And this is a gummy night for me. So as soon as I get finished with this fruit, pop my gummies and get ready to go soaring tonight. Shy. My sister said, who isn't still paying for sins? And by sins, I mean, you make an unwise choice. You go against your better interest, your highest interest. It doesn't even have to be something that's quote unquote bad. You can just have two competing interests and choose one and then later regret and say, damn, I wish I had chosen the other competing interests. Like, I want to build my finances, but I also want to go back to school. I want to study whatever, cosmology, whatever. I go back to school and then I regret the school I chose, or maybe I needed that money because my car broke over. Like, you can just have two competing interests and feel regret because, man, I wish I would have done something different, let alone something that has negative, like adverse consequences and you should have known better. And you pay the price for that. I mean, that's just how life goes. So the line is open. Um, Trying to see what's happening in the comments. I'm trying to scroll up and all right. Oh, that's why he put the flags. I think Darrell Williams, you saying you checked out. You checked out during that conversation. Yeah. Now, and during that conversation, I was sort of hoping the entire time like that something would click. When I hear those pregnant pauses, I'm like, is this pause just the person trying to find new ways to obscure what's going on, or are they really considering like I got to think about that? Um, yeah, I don't know. But like I said, if you've got questions that you want me to address tomorrow when I come on to do the live about um, cross movement, Lecrae, CHH, and all that, uh, best thing to do would be to go to my Facebook page and put them under the post I made yesterday about doing that, or inbox me on Instagram. Um, I guess if you don't feel like searching, you can put your questions here on YouTube too in the comments. Don't do it in the live chat. I'm not going to check the live chat because it's tricky to get back to the live chat. So maybe do it after the video is done. Go under the comments and put your question there. Especially if you're not watching the live, it should be much easier for you to do it. Theists, Christians, where you at? Where is Waldo says, where did I see it? Did it leave? Oh, tomorrow's live sounds interesting. May have to watch after the fact. All good. Um, Let me see. Interesting. Thank you for the comment here. Is that Janine Mills? Forgive me if I'm saying it wrong. That's what it looks like from here. I still believe in God, but don't believe in religion. My question is, as an atheist, what do you think happens after death? Thank you for the question. You'll hear this from atheists often, and tell me if this makes sense to you. Before you were born, well, not born, before you were conceived, right? Before the sperm cell fertilized the egg cell, you were not. You were not. And I would say, and you were okay with that, but you weren't even okay with that because you didn't exist to be okay with that. Now, maybe there's some other thing that's true. Like maybe we all did pre-exist our birth and we chose to come here. I had a question I was going to ask on Facebook. One of my days that I just go on and post things and make people think. But my question I was going to ask is, let's say that we all actually did choose to come here. Like I chose to be me. You chose to be you. You existed before, and this is just an experience you chose to have. There's certain video games that you play that you can choose the difficulty level. Like if you're a novice, you can put the difficulty level down at 1. If you're a pro, you can put the difficulty level up at 10. If you actually pre-existed this life and you chose to come here, based on your experience so far, what difficulty level do you think you chose? So based on house, are you living the soft life? Is life extremely hard? Is it harsh? What was the difficulty level of the life that you chose if you chose to come here? I want to see what your answers are in the chat. But to answer your question, Janine, uh, before we were conceived, as far as we know, we did not exist. And once we die, I think we cease to exist. Sometimes I do hope that there's a continued existence, not all the time. And it's sort of anti intuitive because it's like, why don't I want to continue existing when I don't want to? Uh, the temptation is to think because if I cease existing, I'll rest. But no, it's not even rest. You'd have to exist to experience rest. So it's not even like if I cease existing, I'll finally rest. No, you won't anything. So I think my reasons for sometimes wanting to cease existing don't make sense because it's not like I'm going to be resting. Um, but I just don't think that there is anything after this. I think once we're done here, we're done here. And this is why I think we got to live it up while we're here. I should have shut up. I need to learn my lesson. Somebody popped in and then they popped out. Let me see. I don't remember the name, but if I see it again, I'll know. Let me see if it was somebody who was actually in the chat. Once I see the name, I'm pretty sure I will recognize it. I think it started with a B or something like that. If you do call back in, I won't belabor the point. I will bring you right back in. But I was trying to finish making that point that I was making. Let me see if anybody answers. What was your difficulty level if you chose to come here? On a scale of 1 to 10, wow, Without Faith says a 10 as a Christian. Interesting. So does that mean that since deconversion, the difficulty level of your life seems to have dropped? That's very interesting. All right, I want to read the rest of you all's comments. Hopefully I can get back to it, but the caller has, oh, okay, so caller, I know why you dropped out now. Because even though I see you, it says device not connected. So for some reason, I can't add you. So maybe, hold on. It looks like you're here. Hold on, you all. I'm getting a call. Let me, this is somebody, I need to make sure I'm good. Give me a second. Sorry about that. Bloodshot Tripper, can you hear me? You're in the studio. Your mic is muted. Can you unmute your mic? You might be having connection issues because I saw before that it says you were here but not connected. If you can look at the icon of your display, not actually. I guess you could do it on the screen too. Let me see if I can unmute you. No, I can't unmute you. You have to unmute yourself. Let me see if there were any answers to my question. But Without Faith, she said it was a 10 as a Christian. I wonder if you would say that it's less for you after deconverting. I know for me, my difficulty level got extremely light after deconverting because I wasn't having to go through all those mental gymnastics and running my thoughts past a deity inside my mind. My sister says, "Who cares what happens after death? We'll be dead." I'm scrolling back through looking for answers to the question, what do you think the difficulty level that you chose would be? Um, it's hard for me to navigate to you all's former comments, so I'm trying to go real slow to get to them without going past them. I see without faith's comments. Hey, Eddie says, I don't understand the question. I don't know how else to ask it other than to re-say it. I would try to rephrase it. Let me see. So without faith says, I was correct in my interpretation of her question. Absolutely. Life is good now. My sister says, my difficulty level has definitely decreased. I see more conversation. I'm not seeing anybody else answer the question. Hey, Eddie says, oh, I think I get it. Okay. Yeah, so Bloodshot Tripper, I'm going to remove you from the studio because you've not been able to unmute your mic. Sorry about that. Maybe try again. I'm not sure what that was really about, but I know there's all kind of issues that people have. Hey, Eddie says existentially 100% decreased. All right. So I'm coming up on 2 hours. If we don't get another call, I may get ready to let this go, and then I'll be back on tomorrow. I get it. It says personally still trying to deal with the guilt and shame of wasting my life on such an evil belief system. The stories I could tell. The stories I could tell. But I mean, I think this is something that we've discussed on this channel before. I'm sure, hey Eddie, would you say, I know you're saying that you've wasted a lot of your life on it, but was there some good? Are there moments where you're glad that you were a Christian? Maybe in your 20s, maybe in your 30s, maybe in your teens? Or do you feel like, no, you would get it all back? You would take it all back. Like if I could do it over, and maybe I don't know if I would have been okay without Christianity, because it made me like like the week I became the day I became a serious Christian. Like I was failing in high school. I was reckless with my relationships, reckless with my sex life, reckless with my disrespecting my parents, and I was a wild bull. And then when I became a Christian, like I towed the line. It actually saved me. Even though it didn't spiritually save me like I thought it did, in the natural realm, it actually did save me. And because I didn't have like mentors and older men in my life, I don't know where I would be without Christianity. And that doesn't make me 100% grateful for it. I wish I could have gotten the lessons of like, yo, you need to care about your future. You need to care about your this, care about your that. If I could have gotten that some other way, see, therein lies the issue. Hey, Eddie says, I was already a good kid. Christianity convinced me I was evil. Damn. Yo, I get it. I get it. I get it. And without faith chimed in and said, no, Brady, that's part of the lie. Speak on it, because I think I know exactly what you're saying, but speak on it. I'm going to try to come back to your comment, but let me get to this next caller before I lose them. And James is in the chat. What's up? Hey, fam. Good to see you. Let me bring in Volsi. I hope I'm saying it right. Sorry if I'm not. I don't think we've spoken before, but I'm going to bring Volsi in. Welcome to Ichabod Volsi.
What's going on, Ichabod? Hey, we actually have spoken before. We did a joint video over on Michael's channel. Michael, what's his name? Michael Cow. It was the Atheist and Hip Hop Live. I think that was.
Oh, Michael
Yeah,
Beverly.
Michael Beverly. Yeah, with Black Atheist Rants and
Yeah,
a
yeah.
whole bunch
So
of other
wait,
guys.
so which name? Like, I don't recognize the name. Volsi. Was your name Volsi on there?
It's because I switched it to my rap name when I was coming up. I put MC Brain because I was by my name coming. When I was a kid,
Okay.
I used to call myself MC Brain. So it was
Okay.
that's what it was. That's what it
That's
was.
what's up.
Yeah, no, I
We
just
get
want.
love in the chat.
Yeah. So like, no, I've been a fan of you for a while. I just wanted to come in because you said if anyone who's non-believer would want to come in,
Mhm.
chat for a bit, then we can. So I said, you know what?
Yes,
I
sir.
just got off of work. I'm gonna go ahead and come up chat with them real quick because
I
I do the
appreciate
same.
it.
Yeah, of course. I do the same thing that you do. Mine is just more over on the TikTok side than the
Okay, and what name can they find you on TikTok?
same thing. Volsy thoughts. As a matter of fact, I
Volsi.
should
Volsi thoughts.
Volsy
Yes, put
thoughts.
that in
Yeah,
the chat and put that in the thing. Yeah, I'm not on TikTok, but if you're on TikTok, go follow Volsi Thoughts. We need much more people.
there we go.
Just the camaraderie is out there. So yeah, talk to us. What's good?
Yeah, I'm all right, man. Like, I saw that you just made your TikTok. You just made it like a few days ago, and
No. I made the TikTok
hmm.
like a year and a half ago. I just never use it.
Okay, that's why.
Yeah.
That's why. Yeah, but
Mhm.
yeah, over on TikTok is cool. I met a whole bunch of. That's why I met Black Atheist Rants from. I subscribe to him on YouTube and over on TikTok we have a whole community of Black Atheists there. There's
Okay.
Thinker, Serafina Simone, Pink Beard, lots of cool people. Hey, what's going on, Waldo? I think Waldo subscribes to me as well. How's it going? Yeah, there's a lots of cool people over there, and I was able to organize a whole meetup and everything like that. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Nice.
So yeah, we
So
started
I'm gonna need
this.
some help, Volsi, because I'm gonna try to get on TikTok. I'm gonna need some help to get tapped in.
Mhm.
Is it true? You can tell me if you don't have 1,000 followers, you can't go live. Is that true or false?
It was true for a while. I think they decreased it to 500, and if you
Okay.
have 100, you can be a guest on somebody else's live. So it used to be 1,000 for everybody. Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, it used to be 1,000 for everybody, but now I think if you have 100 followers, you can be a guest on somebody else's live, which is what I was doing for a while. Like I was
Ah.
guesting on somebody else's live, the atheist over there, and that
Mhm.
actually built up my following. People started following
Yep.
me
I'm
because
already
I
thinking about
was.
people I need to contact.
Yeah, exactly. Now, come on mine anytime. I go on Thursday through Sunday.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So
Okay.
come on mine anytime.
What time are you on?
I'm on about 7 p.m. to about like 9 to 10 p.m. I do
Okay.
about two
Good
3
stuff.
hours. On the weekends, like on Saturdays and Sundays, I'd actually go earlier around 4 o'clock. Because
Okay.
that's the time where everybody, they go out, but then they come home Saturday at 4, they're not doing anything, they jump on TikTok, so I kind
Now
of
talk to
game the
me.
algorithm.
Are people preaching to the choir over there, or is it like real good interaction with theists and atheists?
That's what I actually put in one of the comments. When you start going on TikTok, you're gonna get so many more guests because it's a gang of apologists over there. It's amazing. You're not just gonna get Christians. You're gonna get Christian apologists who are like
Oh, nice.
super popular. I had like
Okay.
someone named God Logic who came on mine
Yeah, I did
before.
a reaction to him in Lecrae's video a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. You're gonna get him. He came to mine before, but I couldn't get to him. Like he came in for 5 minutes and then left. It's kind of because I crashed out a little bit. I was cussing somebody out. So, like, you're not gonna dehumanize me, bro. We may disagree, but don't
Right.
dehumanize me. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's the thing you got to prepare for. You're gonna get a lot of those. You're unfortunately gonna get a lot of N-words. You know what I mean? So I just gotta
Yeah.
prepare you
Yep.
for that.
I've had that.
Yeah,
I've had
yeah.
that once on here.
Yeah, so on TikTok, you're gonna get a lot of those. A lot of people come up and just spam the N-word, that's screaming
What
N-word,
do you
N-word,
do?
N-word,
Do you
N-words.
keep them on the channel? Or do you just kick them? What do you do?
Sometimes I make fun of them. I mean, there was a guy who was saying it rhythmically, so I just kind of put a beat on. I was like, yeah, keep saying that, boom, yeah. So I started playing around with them, but that was funny. But a lot of times, just kick them. You know what I mean? Like they're just gonna keep spamming it, kick them, and just move on to the next person. It's all good and well. But yeah, if you start going live there, like you could definitely join mine. If you're not busy in the morning, Black Atheist Rants always goes live in the morning. You can go on his. Thinker, she goes live like in the middle of the night. You know what I mean? If you're ever like have nothing to do in the middle of the night, you're up
Like
or whatever.
late night.
Late night, yeah, she does late night. You could join hers. There's lots of folks there that do lives. Be Easy as well.
Okay.
He typically goes in the afternoon. So
Mm.
like there's a lot of people. Let's see who else. There's Zena May.
Oh no,
Same thing.
my sister is on there. Ty Goodwin. She's pretty hype up on there too. So
Ty's your
there's a
sister?
few folks. Yeah.
Yeah, I love Ty. Ty's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yep.
I'll freaking her lives as well. Ty's amazing. So yeah, like
It
that's
never
great.
it never dawned on me until just now to ask her the same question that I just asked you, because I don't think about TikTok ever. So it didn't pop into my mind that I could have asked her this entire time.
Yeah. It's great. It's great over there. You get a lot of people. What's good about it is that I have like a TikTok Studio, which is like their own software that goes
Okay.
live directly to the platform. And what's good about that is that what I do, I use StreamYard as well. What I do is that I
Okay.
have because I have a laptop and I have my main PC. So what I do is that I'm live on TikTok Studio,
Mhm.
and then I use StreamYard to get the guests over from there on the YouTube. So I'm taking TikTok guests and I'm taking YouTube guests. You know what I mean? It's
I think that's what Justin does. But when I watch
Justin does that.
Deconstruction Zone, okay, I might need some help with that because that sounds much more complicated than I'm able to pull off. But either way, I just appreciate just this window into how it goes down. So yeah, you'll see me creeping up on there probably next week.
Yeah, definitely, man. And you could definitely join mine. I'll hype up yours.
Appreciate that.
You could probably go live right now. I think you have like about 500, right? So you could probably
No, I
already
think
go live.
I probably only got like 300 or something, if that. I don't even think I got 300 because I'm never on there.
Okay, gotcha.
Can you just talk to us real quick? I mean, I know you've got your platform and everything already, but I just would love to hear from you. Why do you do what you do?
Oh yeah, definitely. The reason why I do what I do is because people who look like us. That's number one thing. Normalization. People who look like us are not the ones that's doing this. Because when I first came out there, I first deconstructed. I of course ran into a lot of content, right? But all the content that I saw were not people who look like us, and that's not a big issue because it still helped me deconstruct. You can still deconstruct from whoever they look like, but I found out that people are more likely to no, a God doesn't exist. So but people are more likely.
I'll put the wrong thing on the screen. I was trying to put
no
the
problem.
on the screen, but you go ahead.
Yeah. So people are more likely to listen and engage with you, especially our community, if we know about each other, if we're talking to each other, because of the history of our society, we look to each other for safety. You know what I mean? So I found that people are more likely to listen to you, and not only that, I found a lot of people don't really understand the position. Right? I'll give you a little bit of an anecdote. About 2 years ago,
real quick, if you don't mind, real quick, I just want to tap in. Durante Lamar just tapped in. What up, yo? I've been telling folks about you and Christian Smith's joint this Thursday. Can you let us know what time that's going to be? Because I'm pretty sure I'm not going to stream Thursday, so we can all go check out you and Christian Smith. But let us know what time that is so we can all meet y'all over there. Appreciate you, man. Sorry, Bossy, go ahead.
No, all good. Shout out to Durante. I'm definitely gonna be there. I just learned about that today. I'll just give you a little anecdote. Right, when I say that people really don't understand the position. 2 years ago, about 2 or 3 years ago, 5 p.m. Central Standard. Okay, I'll be there definitely. So about 2 or 3 years ago, I got into a car accident. I was walking home from the gym. Car came out of nowhere, hit me. You know what I mean? I caught a concussion for that. While I was at the hospital. Of course, my parents come, my sisters come. When I was at the hospital, my sister looks me in the eye and she dead ass says, God saved you. And it's the God of the Bible, not the atheist God. And I looked at her, I said, listen, I was too tired and too hurt to say anything. But I looked at her, I said, what? I was like, what? Like, you cannot be serious, right? And that's what I realized, that people literally do not understand this. They don't understand it, And I said, this is a chance for me to do some normalization. Yeah, I mean, we need people to understand our position. We need to normalize it, and not only that, I want to promote critical thinking in our community.
I love it
because it's not even just the God belief. Like, we have a lot of what I call magical thinking in our community.
Critical thinking is a transferable skill, so you can use it to deconstruct this. You can deconstruct your MAGA beliefs. You can like whatever.
Yeah, exactly. You have to deconstruct a lot, you know what I mean? And I'm still
Yeah.
helping up my family do that because my parents are from the Caribbean. So you already know how that is. Very very chauvinist society, very patriarchal, very homophobic. You know what I mean? So it's well, my
Mm,
parents is gone. Like I know them. They ain't changing. It's gone.
mm,
But at least my peers, people my
yeah.
sister's age, my age, I can at least help them deconstruct a lot of the homophobia and patriarchal thinking that they have. You know what I'm saying? So I can help that out at least. Because
Mm,
one thing that I want to start doing is start to help people deconstruct from the red pill. Because
nice.
I'm studying to be a counselor, a mental health counselor,
Hmm.
and I see that a lot of these young men who go into those
Yeah.
spaces, they get into those spaces due to things like loneliness, things like anger, things like
Yeah.
isolation. There are
Mm,
things like keeping a lot of their emotions inside and not being able to express it because they were told to be a man and suck it up, so they don't know how to express their emotions. They think that certain things are effeminate or quote unquote
yeah.
gay. Because he's
Mm,
it's funny because on Facebook there's a whole group called "Fellas, Is It Gay?" You know what I mean? And they make fun of people who always say, if you're going to, things like, if a man doesn't have a gun, he's gay. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
It's ridiculous things
mm.
like that. Yeah, I mean, so I try to help to deconstruct from all those issues,
I love it.
us
Yeah.
along with religion. You know what I mean? So we have to critically think. And I always say, even if you leave my channel or my discussion still believing what you believe, but you're
Hmm.
thinking harder about it, that's a success. You know what I mean? I don't want to take it away from you because I noticed that I started to
Yeah.
ask people, if you don't believe in this anymore, what do you think will happen to you? And when people say that they think that they'll go around hurting people, I'll be like, all right, you know what? That sounds insane, but I'm gonna let you keep it because I'd rather you not hurt somebody.
You're right. If
You
that's what it's going to
know,
take.
so that's what's gonna take. Still
Yeah.
believe it, but at least think harder about it, you know?
Yeah. Volsi, I appreciate you so much. I say this often on my channel that there's so many people, whether it be on the political side, whether it be on the skeptical side, there's so many people in this time
Mhm,
that are using the tools available to us to help us out, that are
mhm,
putting in the work to help people. That if we pull through these times, especially politically right now, but even outside of that, we owe a ton of thanks to people like you who are just giving their time and energy. You work a job, you're in school, and then
mhm.
you give your time and energy to help other people deconstruct and to critically think. We owe a ton of gratitude to people who are putting in this kind of time. So thank you. You're going to see me over there creeping up on channels and trying to connect with people. Um, can you private message on there as well?
Yeah, you can private message on TikTok as well.
All right,
YouTube
all right.
used to
So I'm
have
going to reach
that,
out to
but
you.
mm.
Yeah, I'm gonna reach out to you on there. I got a caller. I hope it's a Christian caller.
Oh, definitely.
Let me get to this call. But hey, thank you so much for tapping in, man. Appreciate you
Oh,
so much.
definitely. I appreciate you, man. You have a good night. All right.
All right, yep, get with you.
All right, how do I get off?
Oh, well, there you go. All right, so Bloodshot Tripper is back. I'm going to add you to the studio. Let's see before I even bring you in. Can you unmute your mic? I'm just going to bring you in. Can you unmute your mic? Let's do this, Bloodshot Tripper. I'm going to go to the private chat. Can you just tell me whether or not you see me typing in the private chat? If you see that, just respond to it in the private chat, because then I can maybe try to help you to get your mic unmuted. And actually, I think I hear something. Your
Yeah,
mic is
can you
unmuted now. Yes, thank you. Finally, Bloodshot Tripper, welcome to Ichabod.
can
Can
you
you hear me? Yep. Are we good to go? Tell us, Bloodshot Tripper, where you calling
yeah,
from?
it's lagging this
I don't think it's going to be good. Yeah, the lagging is crazy.
okay.
Sorry, friend. I would love to talk to you. I don't think it's going to work today.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm back on.
Ah, okay,
I'm on
okay.
Mondays and Tuesdays, so maybe try to give a call back next Monday. All right. Sorry, friend.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to frustrate people with a call that's not going to go well. But what I think I'm going to do is 2 hours. The calls are not flowing in. Maybe I'll stick around for another like 2 minutes or something. I'll answer any questions that you have in the chat. And this will give people a chance, if there's another theist who wants to call in, to call in. And if nobody else calls in the next couple of minutes, then I'll go and I'll let you guys go ahead. So Sun Manalty says all religions are seeking inner harmony and peace. I don't know if that's true, especially with Christianity. Christianity is seeking external peace. Matter of fact, the verses in the Bible, right? We're God's ambassadors, calling men to be reconciled with God. It's an external peace that Christianity wants you to have, not an internal peace. I got a different caller, or maybe it's the same caller with a different platform. Let me just bring the caller in right away before we lose them. Manny, welcome to Ichabod.
Yes, sir. You hear me?
I can hear you. Manny, you are not the caller I was trying to connect with a minute ago, are you?
No, sir. This is
Okay,
I actually spoke with you before.
Okay. Now, can you remind me then, are you a theist, atheist, agnostic? Where are you at with the God question?
I'm actually a theist. I believe in God. Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. No, you were going to tell.
I said I believe in God, but I really don't believe emphatically that the Bible is literal. But the concepts, the principles, the framework, there's some fruit in that if is dug into.
Question for you.
Yes, sir.
Is the fruit that's in the Bible, forgive me for how I'm going to ask this, is the fruit that's in the Bible fruitier than any other book that we could find? Like, is it more productive, more helpful than any other book, or is it just a book that has some fruitful things?
It's a book that has fruitful things, but
Okay, and
in particular, this book is kind of like a blueprint to Christalize your existence.
Is that true of just the New Testament? Is it true of the New Testament and the Old Testament? What do you think?
I think that in the New Testament is the liberation, and it shows the blueprint of how you're supposed to live in the new man. And the Old Testament is a representation of the old man, in which really we're kind of like human animals. The human represents the Old Testament, straight up barbaric, and the New Testament is the new covenant, is where now you transcend to your consciousness. So you've actually been set free through the Christ's truth in the New Testament.
Do you think that you're in the new covenant?
Yes, sir.
Do you think that with there's one question I need to ask to make sure I'm hearing where you're coming from.
Okay.
If the Bible is a book that is fruitful for us and it help Christalize our lives, is it from God, or is it just something that God just condones?
It is not neither. It's information that was imparted into that lens. So God's spirit can actually be put into anything. In this particular case, it was just put into the Bible, where you have to extract truth, just like you have to extract truth from anything else. Truth is not just given to you. Okay,
lost.
go ahead.
I'm lost.
Okay.
If God's spirit is put into the Bible, Are you saying that the words of the Bible already existed, like they came from men, and then God's Spirit got involved to give them life? Or are you saying that God's Spirit helped the men come up with what's in the Bible? Which of those two?
I would say man was inspired to seek the presence of God, seek the understanding of God, and through their interpretation, uh, just observing truth, uh,
Interpretation of what?
interpretation of situations and how you see
Okay.
and perceive anything. So now,
So
depending
they're
on
living
your
life, looking
lens,
at life, and while they're living and looking at life, the Spirit of God inspires them to see life a certain way and therefore write the Bible.
uh, the Bible inspires you to see truth. So
No, no,
now
no. I'm
in
asking
truth,
how we got the
okay,
Bible.
inspiration, just like all other religions got their texts. They were inspired to see the higher calling in the situation, the higher calling or the truth in any circumstance as far as
But
what brings man peace.
here's what we can't do. We
Okay.
can't just say a bunch of things and not inspect what we're thinking. So I'm trying to figure out
Okay.
what should I be thinking. The
Okay.
words in the Bible, they're there because the Spirit of God inspired people to see their situation a certain way and write things about their situation, and that's how we got the Bible. Is that what you're saying?
Well, in order to get anything down and out of the heart, uh, especially now if it's going to be put in a book, it have to come
Mhm.
from the person's heart to the hand and to on the paper. So now that's an inspiration. If you look at the words that are presented, these are breadcrumbs that are leading you into seeking and embodying truth. These are
If the Spirit of
breadcrumbs.
God inspired them to come up with this stuff, are you at least willing to say that the Spirit of God inspired them to come up with what's in the Bible, even if it's not infallible? It was in like, are you willing to say that?
Yes, sir.
And so the corollary question is, and are you saying the same things about other religions that the Spirit of God inspired them to come up with the I don't know, the Quran or the Bhagavad Gita? Like, did the Spirit of God inspire them to come up with that stuff as well?
Yes, sir.
Did the Spirit of God inspire J.K. Rowling to come up with Harry Potter?
No, sir.
So only bona fide holy books were inspired by the Spirit of God. True.
Only books that are inspiring and provoking your inner essence to identify with your truth, with your essence, what is truth, what is empowering, what is edifying, what is from one of the characteristics glory to glory. So anything that you come in contact that it is edifying and it is bringing you light to the situation is considered
Mhm.
an inspiration of God. So you could
So
put
what if
that in a
I
book.
find things inspiring and bringing light that you don't, and I don't find the things that you believe to be inspiring and light bringing? What do we do about that? Are we both still reading stuff that is Holy Spirit inspired? And if we are, why are we disagreeing?
Truth is epistemic. It is emphatic. It is self-evident. Just like if you look at the sun, we can look at the sun any kind of way we want to. You can interpret it any kind of way, but the sun is the sun. So depending on how close we are to that, recognizing what the sun is by definition will determine where that person stands. If you are standing closer to the truth of the situation, then you would be closer to the truth. It just depends on your interpretation of the truth. Can you actually really see
So
the
the
truth?
sun is the same sun for me and the Muslim. Is the spirit inspired truth the same for me and the Muslim as we read our contradicting competitive holy books that say different things about who God is, who Jesus is, what happens when we die, what we should do during life? like that's not the Son kind of truth where it's the same for us both, regardless of what we believe. These books are saying different things, and you're saying they're both inspired by the same Spirit of God.
Yeah, because God relates to everybody different. He relates to environments different. Muslims, they had a different way of understanding. They needed God differently, just like oranges need the sun different in Mexico than in California, or in a hot place like Florida, and then you got Chicago. The sun is going to give differently. You're not going to have the same you're not going to have the same dose of nutrients for one place and the other when they don't need that. That's not how God works. God
Did
works
Jesus
in
did
individuals.
Jesus
So
die on the cross?
say that again.
Did Jesus die on the cross?
Uh, hmm. No, I don't think that. I don't think that. I don't think he died on the cross, man. That's
So the
symbolic.
so the so the Bible, when it says that, is not telling the truth. 4 different people in the Bible, no, 5 different people in the Bible, at least, say Jesus died on the cross, and you're saying that all 5 of them are incorrect, even
Well,
though they were inspired.
based on epistemic and just the scientific method of observation and understanding how God uh, deals and operate in nature, is these are allegories. These are this is symbolism. This is like these are sculptures and pictures and impressions that give you the understanding. This is what you have to do to your own body. You have to actually discipline it. You got to actually sacrifice your body in order to actually rise and transcend to your conscious. And when you can do that, then that set free of the truth now is like walking on earth while you're saved by the energy that now gives you the ability now to create.
Let me ask you a question. I'm just
Yeah,
curious. And everything that you're saying, I'm trying to figure out what you believe.
yeah.
Now I'm curious as to why you believe it and why should I? Like, what
Oh,
happens if I don't believe the things that you believe? Am I lacking in some kind of way? Like, why do I need to believe the things that you believe, and why do you believe it?
okay. So now I'm not saying nobody needs anything, but what I am saying is that there's a universal spirit, and this
How do
spirit
you know
is,
that?
well, this is experiential and looking at
You've
science.
experienced, hold on,
Yes,
wait.
sir.
No, can't keep
Okay.
using words. We got to think about what
Okay.
you've experienced a universal spirit. Have you been around the entire universe? Have you been
The
to even every
universe
continent
within.
on
Yeah,
Earth?
yeah. We have a universe within. Science, meta physics, physics. It all says that our mind is almost like universal capacity. In the same way the mind operates, the universe, when they look at the universe, it's actually designed just like our mind. Neurons are like little stars in our mind. We have the ability to go to the end of our
I
imagination.
can't. Manny, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
I don't know why there's not red flags in the chat, but there's red flags in my head right now.
So,
I
but
can't, Manny,
why is it red flag, sir? I'm actually trying
because
to
no.
elaborate
Well, here's the
what you're
thing.
saying,
I want
what
to
you're
I
asking.
want to think on. I'm going to go back to my Christian days.
Okay.
What sort of things are lovely? What sort of things are good? What sort of things are true? Think on these things. I think
Yeah.
I like that part of the Bible, and I want to think on true things. And I don't know how I can know the things that you're saying are true. In other words, you could just
Okay.
be saying a whole bunch of nonsense, and I would never know because I cannot verify whether or not there's a universal spirit. So I'm
Okay.
not
Let
going
me.
to talk to me
Can I?
about things that I can't verify. If you can
Okay.
verify
Let me.
universal spirit, then we can keep it
Yeah.
going.
Okay. Let me try and verify a universal spirit that actually proved in the physical that if you follow these principles and if you follow this sequence, your body will
No, no,
cause
no, no,
a
no. That's not what I want. That's not what I want.
what?
I
Okay.
want verification that there is a universal spirit. I don't want you to tell me some effect and then tell me that the universal spirit is the cause for that effect. I want you
Okay,
to
I feel you.
demonstrate that there's a universal spirit.
Okay, so now let's break this down physics level. Okay, so now in the smallest entity on this planet, which is a particle, it starts with a order that has information in it that is following this order, and this order has a system behind it where it is out of nowhere, out of nothing, it is actually having a order. Wherever in that order, it
Mm.
actually, wait, let me just say this real quick.
It's
That,
hurting. No, Manny.
yes, sir.
I'm at a stage in my life where I protect my peace at all costs,
Sir,
and you're
this mic
disturbing my
can
peace
bring you
right now.
peace. This mic can bring you
I
peace, sir.
cannot follow what you're saying,
Okay.
and I
Let me
don't
just,
want that in my mind. I don't want these non sequitur thoughts in my mind. I'm just sorry, I don't. I want peace, and this is not
so then,
peaceful for me.
so now from the particle to, uh,
Mm-mm. Sorry, call back when you've got something that you can actually get a handle on, and Matt, run it past somebody else and see if you don't stress them out to try to get them, like, run it down to them and then ask them to run it back to you and see if they can understand what you're saying and you're not stressing them out, and then call
so,
back, because I
so,
can't be the guinea pig for this.
okay, so, what is stressing you about? There's order from the
The
particle
thoughts
to
are
the human
non sequitur.
organism. All of these are orders.
So Manny, I'm
This
gonna
is
let you
this.
go, and then I'm gonna let you go. Then I'm gonna explain why. Okay, so please keep watching. Um, like several of the things that you've said, you're doubling back on yourself and using the same noun as the object and then the subject of your sentence, and that's breaking my brain. And so, yeah, I can't. I just can't rock with that. Um, yeah, sorry. Just think about what I'm saying, and come back with something else. I'm actually kind of giving you some handles, like for the philosopher. I don't know if James Pesha is still in the chat. Um, like I'm thinking about some philosophical ideas based off of what I just said about object and subject, and that could take us down a whole rabbit hole that I don't even know if I want to go down right now, because my brain is still kind of like um, trying to recover from that. But think about what I just said, and maybe call back once you're able to work out what you're saying is object and what you're saying is subject, and what their relationship is to one another, and then what follows from that. And then maybe we could have a fruitful conversation. Oh, Watcher explained what happened to his call. Watcher says, that'd be good. Sorry, bro. I had an important phone call interrupt us. I'll catch you tomorrow. All good. Appreciate you, man. Talk with you then. Yikes. MJ Davis, what's good? MJ Davis says, I couldn't figure what he believed. I was confused. And look, I mean this when I tell you all before you call in that I'm not going to try to play you or embarrass you or anything like that. And whatever you think about what just happened between me and Manny, that was the nice version of what was going on inside my head. So I'm never going to try to embarrass anybody, but that just was not a good call. And I will try to be as cordial and as nice and as understanding as I possibly can if your call is kind of like going off the rails. So there's that. But we are pulling up on 2.5. I think I'm gonna get ready to. Oh, here goes James. You know what? I don't know if people want to hear us go into the weeds on this topic. Yeah, call in, James. Let's do this. This will be fun for me. Matter of fact, let me pop my edible. Let's see if we can make something happen with the last part of this call. Let's just see. My sister said he lost me at Christalize. Noon says, I'm down for the call with James. Let's do it. Let me put the link in the chat again, just in case. Oh, there he is. Nope. Oh, hold on, James. Hold on. Hold on, James. I'm sorry. A believer's calling in. If you watch shows like The Line, I follow that mindset of theists come first here. That's one thing about my channel. Theists are going to come first. All right. I spoke to this brother before. Take your time, James. I have a call, and you can come in after that call. This is Minister, I think it's Damon Farrell, if I remember correctly. Maybe I'm saying it wrong, but I'll bring you in. Minister Farrell.
What's up, my friend?
Is it Damon Farrell?
Yeah, it's Damian Farrell.
Okay. I remember that because I think I see it a lot on Facebook. That's why it's stuck in my mind.
You see it a little bit. I don't be up there as much.
It's you've been up there enough for it to be in my mind. Like I remember the name.
Although that's a good thing or bad thing.
Can you do me a favor and turn? I know for you it probably looks like you're the right way, but
Yeah, I'm
for
trying
me
to
you're
figure it out.
sideways. There
Well,
you
like
go.
this.
Mm-hmm.
Normally it'd be bigger than this.
Yeah, I know.
Different.
Am I sideways to you?
Nah.
Okay, so yeah, you're right side up to us now.
I ain't gonna
Please
be able
remind
to
us.
long.
I haven't spoken to you I haven't spoken to you in probably about 2 months now, right?
No, it ain't been that long. Probably about a
It has
month,
to have
month and
been.
a half. Yo,
Really? Okay.
we getting that static like we had a while back. I know you did something the last time they took it out.
Should be better now, right?
Yeah, whole lot better.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
ain't gonna be here long, but man, it came up there, man, racking my brain so much. I said, let me get out here and talk, man. Talk a little bit
Thank you.
with my
This is a
brother,
nice
you know what I
this is a
mean?
nice chaser to that call. Can you can you remind us? Are you atheist, theist, agnostic? Where you at with the God question?
Well, you know, I'm God
I know, but
fearing.
the viewers don't know.
Yeah, yeah, I'm theist. Yeah,
And
I'm a
Christian theist,
strong,
correct?
yeah, I'm a strong believer in God.
Christian theist, and the
Christian, yeah,
Bible is the word of God.
yep, strong believer in that.
And is the
The
Bible
soul,
inerrant or infallible?
huh?
Is the Bible inerrant or infallible?
I believe everything that the word say. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
that's what's up. So I only got to, well, I did get to go into this topic pretty much with my first caller. The prompt for today says Christianity stole everything it has. Agree or disagree? What do you think about that?
I disagree with that.
Okay. Do you think that Christianity is the rightful heir to the promises and prophecies that you see in the Hebrew Bible about what God's going to do in terms of what he's going to do in the earth, restoring and rescuing and saving? Do you think Christianity is the rightful heir of those promises?
Yes.
I can name a few I'd like to talk about,
So
but can
I
you
feel
name any
like
of? Mhm.
I feel like Christianity and people look at Genesis when pretty much after Adam and them fell and the first animal was killed in the Bible that was showing, you know what I mean, other word, without the shed of blood is no remission of sin. That was
Mhm.
showing Adam, you know what I mean, how what they were supposed to do until Christ's return. So if people
Why do you think the
but
Bible doesn't say that? Like, why do you think
hold
no
up,
new?
hold on for a
Okay,
second.
go ahead.
I feel like if people can accept that part of the Bible,
Mhm.
they will realize that really Christianity is the oldest religion, really.
I hear you. So the idea of an animal being slain, and then Jesus is called the Lamb, and then you go back
Exactly.
to Genesis 3, and you see where God covers them with animal
Animal
skins,
skin. Exactly.
And you think, well, if they got animal skins, then God had to skin an animal, which means he must have killed it. And therefore, that's a sacrifice. Why do
Yeah,
you
that's
think
the
Genesis 3
first.
doesn't call it a
That was the
sacrifice?
first. That's the first. Pretty much death it talks about in the Bible. And
Yeah,
then
why do
when
you
you
think that
go, but
the
when you
question I was
go to,
asking,
yeah, that's what I
hold
was
on.
going to get to.
Okay, yeah.
I know exactly what you're going to ask. Like when you and then when you get to the point, like if God showed Adam what he was supposed to do, that means he would have showed his kids. So when you get to where Cain and Abel was to the age where they had to hold account for their sins, that means they would have had to do also a blood sacrifice, which we know Cain
Yeah, but
killed
you're,
a
you're not
vegetable.
answering the question that I was trying to get in there. The question
Okay, let
is,
me see. Let me
why
see
do
what you're
you
talking
think
about.
that the Hebrew Bible in Genesis, why does it not call when God made clothes for them? Why do you think it doesn't call it a sacrifice? It doesn't say anything about sacrifice or this is forgive your sin. It says none of that. Christians say that. Even in the nowhere else in the Hebrew Bible does it say, even when God institutes sacrifices for Israel, it never says anything about like I did when I made clothes for Adam. It never makes that point. Why do you think that is?
Because it's a lot of stuff that that you might not get exactly from the Bible, because the main thing that was written for the Bible was to show people that we needed a savior. That's the main content of the Bible. We in general, we know that it was other books that also talked about certain things that was in the Bible. You got the book of Enoch, you got the book of Maccabees, you got plenty other books that talks about some of the same thing that add more details.
It doesn't
But
really though. Like so here's one of the things I talked about earlier. I'm not sure if you watched the earlier part of the show.
no, I
Who
didn't.
does the Bible? Yeah, that's good. Who does the Bible say is going to pay for Israel's sins?
He said, "Who did the Bible say?"
Yeah, who does
Well,
the Old Testament, the Hebrew Bible, the Old Testament, the books of Isaiah, who does the Bible say is going to pay for Israel's sins?
the Messiah, Jesus.
Nope.
If you look at
Nope.
Isaiah 53, the whole thing is talking about what
Nope. I'm
happened
not
to
going to
him.
go. So for those who are watching, I'm not going to go back through it because we just did this with the first caller. We started in Isaiah 41 and we walked from Isaiah 41 and we looked at a few different passages. We spent a lot of time in Isaiah 52 and 53, showing that it is not talking about some future Jesus. Isaiah 40 starts off saying that Israel is going to pay, not going to, says Israel has paid doubly for her own sins. Like twice over, Israel's paid for her own sins. And then it introduces this servant language and it calls the nation of Israel the servant of God. And sometimes it talks about the servant collectively and it calls the servant him, even though it's talking about the entire nation. But all the way up from chapter 42, 41, really, all the way up to 53, you keep seeing this idea of a servant who's going to be paying for sins. And it's not talking about some future person. It's talking about Israel as a nation. And it says paid for. It's already
But how can
paid
you
for its
say that though?
sins.
How
I'm
can you
looking at
say
what the
that it's
Bible,
not talking about the Messiah? Because you got in the Bible where it
Mhm.
says that Abraham would be called Israel. You had Jacob was called Israel. You know what I mean? We know that when it comes to Christ, you know what I mean, it breaks down in 53 pretty much everything he went through.
But you can't start in 53. You got to go back to the beginning of the servant songs. You got to go back to chapter 40 when God tells Israel, your time of paying for your sins is over. Chapter 53 is part of that. You've paid for your sins. You're my servant. I'm going to restore you. You have been disfigured. You've been marred. People thought you were smitten, stricken by God, but you're going to live again. Isaiah 53 is about Israel, not about Jesus. If you read it in the context, look at the end of Isaiah 53. I don't have time to do it now because I already did it with
That's
somebody
what I was going to
earlier.
say. Because what you talking about, we would have to go, what I
Yeah,
mean, word for,
you can
word for
either
word.
listen, you can go back and watch the first caller because we did the whole
No,
chapter
what I would
53.
do, and where I would do it, I would go back and read it. You
Yeah,
see what I'm
please do
saying?
that.
I will go back.
Do
I will
that.
go back and
Here's,
read it
here's the only
because
thing I'll ask you to do. Look at how chapter 52 goes into 53, and then ask yourself this question: who is it talking about in chapter 52? So that when you get into 53, it's just a continuation of whoever it was talking about in chapter 52. And it's going to be very difficult, I think, for you to say chapter 53 must be about Jesus.
Nah, it ain't gonna be hard. All
Okay,
they got to do is just
just do
connect
it.
the dots. I already know. You know
If
what I
you
mean?
can,
I know
do
it's
that and
talking
then maybe
about
call
the
back in
way.
next week.
No, cause yeah, I will. I
Okay.
will. I will.
Yeah.
Cause if I
When
had
I was
time, I could
when
go
I was
through
a
it now.
Christian,
But what is the main scriptures? What is the main scriptures that you want me to pay attention on out of them chapters?
I want you to start at chapter 40 to see the entire context of what God is saying to Israel about them paying for their sins and his plans to restore them, and see if by the time you get to chapter 53, you don't think the servant is somebody other than Jesus. Because I think you will if you read it in context.
No, cause like I said, when I break it down, I'm gonna break it down the Greek, the
Okay.
Hebrew. I'm gonna break it
Yep.
down. Break it
Do
down.
it.
That's how I do it.
Do
You
it.
know what I mean?
I
I
love
don't
it.
believe in just putting your own thoughts and all that
I
into
love
it.
it.
You know what I mean? So
Yep.
I
I
definitely
love
would
it.
do that. Like I said, I wasn't gonna be up there long, but I
Yeah, I
definitely wanted
appreciate
to
you.
chat with my brother. You know what I mean?
I
And if
appreciate you.
I and at the time, if I can't know off my hand, I'm gonna tell you, I ain't gonna just come up with something. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that.
But I did
I appreciate
read
that.
Isaiah 53. So
Mm-hmm.
for what
I
that,
did. And when I was
you
a
know what I
Christian,
mean?
I loved Isaiah 53 because to me, that was Jesus. I never took the time to put it in context. And tell your sister I said what's up because she called in a couple times before too, right?
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, tell her I said
Yeah,
what's
she
up.
did. All right, but
So,
definitely, man, good talking to
yep.
you again.
Much love to you, man. I will get with you.
All right.
All right. Peace. All right. James is in the queue. Let me make sure I'm not missing any super chats or anything. I think we're good. James, what's good, my guy?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Chilling, bro. Chilling.
Yeah, so I was trying to get in on the last conversation that you were having.
Oh yeah,
I'm sorry.
I need him to take some time to look at that passage, because without looking at the passage, it's easy to maintain it's Jesus. You got to go back and spend some time, and I would like him to do that before we go any further.
Yeah.
But so I had a thought, because what I was saying after the Manny call, the guy who wasn't making too much sense to me, I said something that philosophically I was like, actually, if I wanted to play devil's advocate, I could have helped him out. And I said something that made me think this is actually something that I could play with here. I said he used a phrase. I forgot what the phrase was. I'd have to go back and watch, but he used it as the object and subject, and it didn't make any sense to me. And then I started arguing with myself in my mind, thinking, well, think about your own views of the universe or origins and all that. And I know that in philosophy, at some point, you have to start. There's a question about whether or not there is a distinction of identity between object and subject, and how do you, like if you go as far back as you can go, do you always have object and subject, or is there only at some point object? How do you get it? So the problem I think in philosophy is called the problem of the one and the many. How do you get object and subject distinction, and at what point? Or because what I said to the caller was he was making his object and his subject the same thing. Philosophically, it's like, well, am I saying that there is a distinction? And if so, that must mean that I'm saying that at one point there was only object and then there was subject. So how do you get there? Or was there always object and subject?
I see.
This is good. I'm going to bring in same guy who was with us last time we talked. I hate saying his name because I got all the thoughts on my mind. You gotta change the screen name, man. Change the screen name. I'm just gonna bring him in.
Hey, dude, I love Big Brown Dad. I do. I
I
love the
can't say
name.
the name.
Hey, it's hip hop. You need 13
I
names.
can. I can. And the only reason that I can say it without flinching is because I'm Cherokee. So
But wait, how does that help?
I mean, it's like I'm as much indigenous as a big brown dad as you are.
Oh, you know what, James? I think you just unlocked a component to my name, which I picked up maybe 10 years ago. Which no, there is a real Native American rhythm to it, which is like walking cloud
I
or
love
whatever.
it, dude.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's good.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Dad, I can't say dad. What can
BBD.
I call you? No, because even that's got
BBD.
bad even that has bad connotations.
You know what I used to Carlos is cool. Carlos is cool.
Carlos, that's what it was. Carlos. If y'all in the chat, y'all know what I'm talking about.
That's right.
But so we
Carlos,
spoke a
what's
couple
up?
days ago, and you've got philosophy chops as well. So you heard the question I was asking James about object and subject distinction. I was chiding a caller for talking about the object and subject as if they're the same thing. But that actually does bring up questions about, okay, so what are you saying about how you end up with unity and diversity? Was there ever a time when there wasn't unity and diversity, where everything was one thing? And then how do you get diversity out of that? And for the Christian, they would jump in and say, oh yeah, that's creator and creature. That's, you know what I mean? So that just made me.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead. Anybody want to jump in? Like, what are your thoughts on object subject distinction, and how far back can you go before you have to say no, there was no object subject distinction at some point, or do you always maintain that there was?
I was attracted to the diversity and unity idea as articulated in the Trinity, right? So that was one component of the Trinity that I thought was attractive, which was it's not even the Trinity, it's probably just the number 3. You know what I'm saying? Like but at any rate, that diversity and unity as a concept is really strong. But I have no strong opinions on whether ultimate reality is singular or irreducibly diverse. I don't have a strong opinion.
Let me just say this real quick before James chimes in. When I was a Christian, I remember that sort of like made me think there was some kind of link between theology and philosophy, because I'm like, oh, with the professors that I was studying under, they said that's how we solve the object subject distinct or the university diversity, the unity diversity distinction is all the diversity that we see in the universe. The problem of unity and diversity is solved in the Trinity, where you have both. You have unity and distinction in the Godhead. And without me thinking about it too hard, I just said, oh, okay, good. Let me just take that and run with it. But now I realize that doesn't really answer the question. So, but for the Christian, I'm sure it does. But James, I'm curious, what are your thoughts? Hey, Eddie says everything's a remix.
You toss it to me?
Yeah.
Okay. My first thoughts are that the Trinity doesn't make much sense to me. I don't know how to make that coherent, and I've tried. And so I hear what you're doing, and like I think it's, I don't know, man.
What you have is one object and 3 subjects eternally, and the subjects are co-equal, coexistent, all that. And they will go back to philosophy and say this solves the problem of the question that I'm asking of how far back in time can you go, and if you go back as far as you can, do you ever get to the point where there's object and subject distinction? Like how do you reconcile that? They would say there was always unity and diversity in the Godhead.
It's a great question.
I don't even know, kind of conceptually, can you get diversity from what is
Yeah,
not
you
unity,
can.
because unity implies diversity, but
Yeah, I
from a
think
mono.
Brady actually.
Oh,
May I?
hold on,
BBD.
real quick,
May I?
because Carlos may just help. You're right.
Okay.
To say unity and diversity, you're right. You can't have unity without diversity. I didn't even think about that. That's another good
Right.
point.
Yes.
So maybe it's not
Really
unity that they're
good.
talking about.
That's astute, Big Brown.
Yeah, real good. So maybe it's not
Very
unity that
astute.
they're talking about. Maybe they're talking about what would the
Monism almost, or like a
yeah.
almost like a monism or something like a.
I never even thought to inspect the idea of unity infers diversity.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, and that's why they put it in.
Be less spectacular than you think.
Yeah, they frame it as the problem of the one and the many. So they may not always say unity and diversity. They'll just say the one and the many, which means at some point, was there ever one before there was many? I'm sorry, James, I cut you off twice, but I wanted to just frame it as best I could.
I'm trying to take in what it is you're saying and trying to make sense of it.
Well, let's do it this way.
Something that BBD said. I'm sorry, I'm calling you Big Brown Dad. I'm calling you BBD. Something that he said was very. It's what we would call expulsory. Like it emoted something that is different from what we were expressing earlier. So Big Brown Dad, you said something that was expressive of our experience and how we can relate to that. Am I missing what you said, or
trying to recall what I said? I think what I was driving, I don't know if this is it, but I was driving at, can we get diversity out of singularity?
That's another good word. There you go. Singularity. Yeah.
Yes.
We can.
So are you willing to say, are either of you willing to say, and granted, we're not going to solve the problems of the universe in this conversation, but the question is, can you envision a time where there never was singularity? Are you saying that for you, there always was diversity as far as you conceive of reality?
If I might offer up a framing, is the question, is fundamental reality singular or diverse? Because, and then just to factor in this little bit of data, is and it's happened to me, but like ego dissolution under like mushrooms or whatever, like this distinction seems to dissolve, even if our language can't, because you hear people, we'll talk about the experience as being subject-less, but we can't escape indexical language. You know what I'm saying? So we can't escape the subject framing, even as we try to articulate the experience as being subject-less.
What is the application? BBD. What's the application like? How can you apply this to?
I'll go back, and this is going to sound corn. Go ahead.
Let me give a programming note real quick for those who are watching. The call-in part of the show is over. We're just going to sit there and kick around this idea. So if you guys want to like dip out now, we're just going to be talking like philosophy and reality. So hey, Eddie says I am lost. Yeah, we're going on a trip right now, mental trip.
Yeah, that's fair.
There's a problem that's presented in philosophy, and maybe I need to check to make sure that this is not just theologians trying to force a problem on philosophy, but I think it's actually in philosophy the problem of the one and the many. Matter of fact, I want to look it up to see how they talk about the problem. What is the problem?
I mean, yeah. I think there are different ways of framing it.
All right, so here it is. This is the AI overview. The problem of the one and the many is a foundational metaphysical puzzle. It questions how a diverse, fragmented universe of individual things, the many, can simultaneously be a singular or coherent whole, the one, and vice versa. And so the question they would ask is diversity an illusion, like what Carlos was talking about when you take mushrooms, right? The part of your brain that separates you from what's not you, that part of your brain is suppressed, and you feel a oneness with everything. And then people, after they take those mushrooms, the psilocybin trips, they say, I realize that we're not really distinct. I am you and you are me, and the tree is me and I am my dog. Because the part of their brain that had these separations, they say there is no many, we're all one. The manyness is an illusion. Then the person on the other side says, no, 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 no.
I haven't studied the one and the many enough.
All right, so yeah, I thought as a philosophy guy you would have, but the question is,
I know. I'm sorry.
Is illusion?
Like, I started to realize that. Yeah.
Okay, I'll peep that too.
Gone there.
But the question is one of these two an illusion? Is the idea of there being diversity, is that an illusion because everything's really one? Or is the idea of oneness illusion because everything is really all like the atoms that make up your body? Like the person that says, no, you're one, James is an illusion. Carlos is an illusion. Everything is really so diverse that there's never oneness. It's all many, and the oneness is an illusion.
Yeah. Okay. I can speak to that. Identity. I can speak to identity, and in a philosophical framework, if that's what's being asked.
I think that may help. That may be helpful to even think about the other.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So, all right. So identity is a question that most of us seek. I think that it's easiest when we look at Heraclitus. So Heraclitus says, no man steps into the same river twice. Because it's not the same river and he's not the same man. And so we extrapolate from that. And that's where we extrapolate identity from, is that identity is either an experience or it's a collection of memory. And you have to determine whether you think identity is experience or a collection of ideas.
So hold on.
Because
so can we add to that?
Identity is something that
James,
yes, sir.
Can we add to that the ship of Theseus?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
All right.
I think
the ship of Theseus
is also included in Heraclitus. So if you think of the ship of Theseus, that when you remove a plank from the ship and you replace it, does that change the nature of the ship as its identity? Right? And so that's what we're asking.
Let me help those who are going to stick around and watch this. The ship of Theseus, you remove one plank from a ship and replace it, you didn't change the ship. But if over time you remove every single piece of wood in the ship and replace it back in the same place, but it's just a different, is it still the same ship? And then some people would say, well, you're the atoms in your body, the cells in your body all get replaced over the course of your life. Now, granted, certain brain cells don't, but the rest of you does. Are you still you if you're replacing all these parts?
Right.
Like, are the parts the whole, or is one of the two an illusion? That's sort of the question that I'm trying to get my. And once again, this is all because I said something to a caller, and as soon as I said it, I thought about it. Like, wait, how do I distinguish between object and subject? Not just in this instance, but overall. Is there a distinction? That's sort of what drove me to even think these thoughts.
I don't think there's a distinction that's necessary. I think that at the end of the day, I think there's no distinction there. Like we want to find something that makes a differentiation between identity, so that like it's like whenever we remove a plank from this ship, does it change the nature? And I think at the end of the day, we as humans, we have a construct that is our identity, and that's what we call us. That's what we call me. I call me this conglomeration of ideas. I do admit that there have been planks that have been removed and replaced, just like the ship of Theseus, and I have been changed over the course of my lifetime.
If you were your
that's
ideas,
something I'm willing to admit.
If you were your ideas, I don't know how strict of an identity claim you're saying that you're making here, but that would mean some interesting things like you forget. You don't hold all your ideas. Yeah. Some ideas are more important than others. Some ideas you change.
Correct. Yes. Yes.
But what happens if you begin to lose your capacities?
Say that again.
What happens if, like, I'm adding to what you're saying, like what happens if you get dementia and you begin to lose your, like, are you losing you?
I do think identity is such a fragile frame. I do think it's very fragile.
My intuition is that it's the most secure. Like,
oh wow, okay. See, I'm saying it's fragile, and you're saying it's
so. James, secure. Can you explain fragile, and then Carlos, why secure? James,
I'm happy to let you go first.
No, no, it's just everything happens. Even if you take the idea that you are your thoughts, I would alter that and say I am the haver of my thoughts. I am the subject of the experience.
Who is the haver and who is the subject? Where do you?
I love it.
Where is that?
The haver is the subject. Yeah, they're identical to each other.
So yeah, wait. So hold on. So do you see why I wanted to do this? I said to the caller, he's using the object and subject as if they're the same thing, and it messed up my mind. But then Carlos just said that the object and the subject is the same thing. So I'm like, hey, we kind of do that at some point.
Wait, where did I say the object and subject?
Or where did I say the object and subject? Or did you say the haver and the subject?
No, I'm the haver of the. I am the haver of the ideas. I am not the collection of ideas. I am the haver of the collection of the ideas.
But James asked,
okay,
who is the haver? I thought you said that.
But you said you are. So you, what is the you that is that thing?
Yeah. I hate to say it. Boo! I'm a soul. No.
Okay. Well, I don't believe in souls.
Yeah, nah. Damn, man, I got a break right now, but I'm definitely gonna link back up with you guys next time you guys are back on.
Hey, thanks for tapping in.
Hey,
thanks for tapping in. Good to
that was
see
fun,
you.
Man. I really appreciate BBD.
So I'm sure there's a Christian who can clip this and say, "Look, we got the atheist to admit to souls." He was sort of joking, but I think it's kind of the hard problem. No, Carlos joked and said, "I'm a soul."
Oh, sure.
But it actually does really all come back to the hard problem of consciousness, and I think theologians have wanted to.
Though it's like as emergent as water. Like we feel wetness as an emergent property of water, as much as we feel consciousness as an emergent property of thoughts. Like it's just chemical reactions. They're emergent, and then we feel this thing and we go, ooh, we have thoughts. I don't think it's as complicated as we want to make it.
I would like to uncomplicate it. I spoke to Chris Moore before. I think this might be another skeptic. Chris Moore, can you, because I'm not doing call-ins anymore at this point, I'm actually about to get ready to
Oh.
go. But if you're going to talk philosophy with us, let me just bring you in, Chris. What's up, Chris?
Hello.
Hey, Chris. Hey,
Chris, have we
Uh,
spoken before?
Yes. Unless
can-
unless you want me to discuss another time, I'm okay with that. So, yeah.
Okay, yeah, because we're wrapping up on this call. I appreciate you, though, Chris.
Yeah. Okay. So,
All right, yep, get with you.
port.
Yeah, I was saying, like, you said you don't think it's that hard of a problem. I'm trying to uncomplicate it too. Like you're saying, like the meanness I is an effect. The cause is all of these things happening, like the chemicals, all that. Is that sort of where you are? That the I is an effect of a cause, not the causer.
That would be close. I think you're close, Brady. I think you're close. I mean, what I would say is consciousness is an emergent property of brain chemistry. That's what I would say, and that's the only way I can say it.
Say it one more time.
What we experience is an emergent property of brain chemicals. Like consciousness is an emergent property of brain chemicals. That's the best way I can express it.
If I is an effect and not a cause, what do I do with the fact that sometimes, most of the time, I feel like I'm causing? Well, I guess I'm the effect of a cause, and then as an effect, I in turn get to become
concerned
a causer.
Oh, it's the concern. Okay. I don't know how. I'm not ready yet. I can't do that.
I get it. Because if I were to put that in the language of go back to the object and the subject distinction, like, is reality a eternal cause and everything else is just effect? Or is reality cyclical cause and effect in coexistence so that there is singularity and unity and diversity? Yeah.
Are you asking me for the is-ought problem? Like, why should you do, like, since...
No, not is-ought. I think I'm...
Okay.
I guess it will get to is-ought at some point. That's the morality question. Like, what should I do? But I think I'm more just getting to identity and distinction between cause and effect. Because really what's happening is I'm trying to outthink or unthink, maybe. Like
would it
sort of
bother you? Sorry, may I?
No, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Would it bother you if you found out that you're not actually an I? Like, if you found out that you're not an entity, but a conglomeration of thoughts, would it bother you if you found out that
it would kind of thrill me if I found out it? Well, and I think I kind of believe what you just said, like, but then I'm hearing the response from the theist, like, because they would say, if there is no I and there is no you just happen to be the illusion that your brain is creating to continue getting these chemicals, the energy and the nutrients that. Well, no, here's what they would say. It's not just what's wrong with that. They would say, what's wrong with killing you if that's all you are? If you're not an I, you know what I'm saying? So it kind of does get into questions of soul, because it does get into is all kind of issues, but really it's about what are you?
I have an argument from agency, from morality, that I think counteracts that, but I wanted to know how you felt about maybe just in embracing the fact that you're an experience, like a cloud of thought, rather than an entity that
praise no way. No, on one hand it thrills me because it sort of would make sense of, like, this experience is like I am what my material body has created to continue getting, and
And
even
it's
say it's done
gorgeous.
it.
It's beautiful.
Hold on,
I
but
love
even
it.
when I say it did it, even when I say it did it to do something, I'm attributing to it intentionality. And so, am I saying that intentionality is a property of sheer material? Sheer material has intentionality, or maybe do I want to rephrase it from the object of it's doing this to, like my body's giving me this impression of an I, of a me, so that it can keep getting energy and
Yeah.
nutrients, so that it can keep being itself, because that's what these chemicals and these molecules want.
Right.
And really, all we're doing is giving into wants. A trillion wants for each molecule that makes us us. And then what these
What's wrong with
molecules
that?
have done is created it's created an illusion of an identity
Yeah.
to assist
What's
in that
wrong with that?
process.
What's wrong with
I don't think
that?
anything's wrong with it. I don't think anything's wrong with it. I just think it needs to be hedged with, and since that's the case, that the illusion that your molecules are creating to keep you getting the things you need, and the illusion that we ought to honor each other's illusions. Is that what we're saying? Like, that's why I shouldn't steal from you. That's why you shouldn't
Oh,
kill me.
I like that. Yeah. Man, that's really good, Brady. Yeah, like if this is the illusion and we adopt it and we realize it and we recognize it, what's wrong with trying to help the other, like our next person, like with their illusion?
So when they say if we're just a
that's
bag
really
of,
kind of cool, Brady. That's kind of
they
cool.
say if we're just a bag of DNA, if we're just what do they say?
Maybe we are. Maybe we are.
If we're just molecules reacting and popping off each other, why should I care about what? Well, maybe because that's what we are. Because these molecules have
Maybe because exactly
formed
that.
into this. Yeah, for that reason,
That's
we should.
really dope, Brady. That's really dope. I hadn't thought about that. That's really dope. It's like, man, if that is what we are, why are we
until we learn that we're something else? Like maybe so. And Carlos was joking, but I think we are something. He saw the issue when he said, like, I'm a soul. But until we find that that's what we actually are, because maybe we never will discover that.
That's really good.
If we're not, why don't we just honor each other's illusions?
Dude, that's really good. It actually aligns with my. I've written like a whole objective morality thing, and this aligns with it totally.
Here's what I think:
other people's autonomy is the most important part of respect.
I think common sense. I think common sense would be common to all of us if we had trustful information. So the thing that I just stumbled on, it probably does align pretty well with some of the things you think, because if it's actually a common sense that we could all arrive at if we're thinking about the right things in the most helpful way. And so I remember when I was writing my book, I wanted to figure out what I thought about morality before I read anybody else. Even to this day, I still haven't read Dawkins' Moral Landscape, which I want to, and things like that. But I figured out what I believed, and then when I began to hear people like Matt Dillahunty and others, I was like, "Yo, he's saying the same things in the same words." Like, it's actually common sense if you think about this in the most helpful way. It's common sense. Yeah. And so that's why I believe that what you put in your book is probably, if what I'm saying can make sense, it's going to gel.
But dude, it's pretty powerful.
I'm going to chop this and put this out there for other philosophers to think about and tell me why this is not a good idea, or maybe
I think it's a very powerful argument from agency that you cannot deny. Like what you're arguing is very powerful. Is that you cannot deny another person's desires if you want your own desires. Like you're arguing
Yes.
from agency. It's really powerful. It actually has a component that relies on agency first and foremost, which relies on cogito ergo sum. It's pretty powerful, Brady. I think you got something.
So, but hold
there,
on.
man.
But since you brought up because I think, therefore I am. Somebody
Yeah.
put this in the chat, and I'd like to. Maybe this will stump you, just like the other question stumped you. But I'm curious what you think. Will complex AI have this conversation in the future?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, but that's fine. AI, like a lot of people need to realize, AI is just a learned language model. It's a neural network. Basically, it relies upon.
Hold on, Jason. In the last
AI.
conversation, somebody asked me how am I able to reason, and my response was my neural network. So
Yeah,
is
but
AI in the future going to be
however,
sitting there talking about the I versus my parts?
yeah, I don't think I don't have the concerns about AI that others have. I do have concerns about AI and other areas, but man, what you've stated and what you've expressed is really powerful, Brady. You should
Thank you for helping
you
me
should
think
dive
through it.
in on that, man.
Yeah. I don't know if I have the tools. I think this is probably more for the philosophers, but I'm going to put it out there and just see what kind of feedback I get.
Well, I think you're capable of being able to analyze it. I do think it's something that is worth your time. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm gonna have a good night because I just popped the edibles and they'll be kicking in soon. So I'll be turning this over in my head in about a half hour. Hey, always enjoy talking with you, man.
Man, I love you, Brady. All right, bro.
Love to you too, bro. I'll get with you.
Has anybody else gotten in here yet? Or
nah, nobody else is called, but I'm over 3 hours, so I'm about to get ready to dip.
Okay. So I was going to ask you about something.
Oh, sure.
So slavery.
Mm-hmm.
Is it an issue? Like, I'm Cherokee, right? And like, you're a black dude. Like, slavery in the Bible, is it more like serious for you, since like a black person would have experienced history of chattel slavery that was endorsed and ordained by the Bible? Is that more of a problem for you? Like, do you get more upset about the fact
this is actually an amazing question, because a lot of times it's kind of glossed over because people don't want to touch the race issue.
Yeah, nobody ever wants to ask about it.
I don't think I've ever heard the question asked. Like, I've heard it asked a different way. I've heard it asked, how can black Christians in America, how can they worship the God that was used to enslave your ancestors? How could you worship that? I've heard it asked that way. I've never heard it asked this way, which I don't even really have a ready answer for, but I have an instinctive answer. My instinctive answer is I think it almost would have to be.
Yeah.
Partially because I'm hearing an echo come back from your end. I'm hearing myself echo. Are your speakers? Can you maybe turn your speakers down?
Let me check real quick.
1 2 1 2. 1 2 1 2. It's not that bad. If I say a lot, it's going to get. Oh, actually, it's going to double up. The chimes will come in right there, right? Who's this calling in?
No, I've changed a few settings. Is that
1 2 1 2?
Check 1 2 1 2.
It's not going to be you. It's going to be me that's echoing. Yeah, I'm still hearing myself come back through your. You don't have any headphones, do you?
Yeah, I do actually.
Okay, that let me see who this is calling in. They may be calling in for the Christian part of the show. Oh, they hung up. Okay.
All right.
Atheist black woman, what's good? Good to see you. 1, 2.
Check.
Are you hearing me through the headphones?
They're not connected yet. Hang on.
Okay, I got you. My sister said slavery was my gateway
Sorry, dude.
into unbelief as a child. 1, 2. Still hearing me feedback. And y'all, if you're like, it's not that bad, keep going. If I keep talking a lot, you will hear the echo, like you hear it right now.
Yeah, I
1, 2.
connected and it didn't change.
Hold on, I don't hear it anymore.
Sorry.
Oh no, I do. All right, let's just try to power through and then we'll wrap it up.
All right.
I would think it would have to hit harder, partially because there are people on the earth in America right now. If you ever watch those guys like Dale Partridge or Joel Webbin,
Sure.
they get close to talking like they want slavery back. And so it's like, not only is it bad historically, it's bad because some people still think it was a mistake to end slavery. The South will rise again, like that kind of shit going on. Confederate flags. So if there weren't, like if America was like, if they hadn't done Jim Crow and there was no need for a civil rights movement, and we've had the last 150 years of peace between the black and white races in this country, maybe black people would be on equal footing with others in hearing about biblical slavery and saying, I'm hearing about slavery in America's past and saying, yeah, that's bad. But I think, no, I don't know. I think just being a descendant of people who went through it. It's almost like with the Jews, right? The slogan is never again. And that slogan just reminds you we're never going to let ourselves get even close to thinking that could ever happen again. And so I think, last thing I'll say, I think for us, it has to be more of a outrage, because the outrage is part of how we keep it from becoming social, like normalized, or, oh, it wasn't so bad, we can do it again. That's the way I would answer that.
No, I love that. Thank you so much for being like honest and dude, I think these conversations need to be had more often.
Yeah.
None of us want to go back there, like
most of us.
Well, yeah, there you go. But I sit here and I look at you and I care about you. I love you. You people you people. You
just did the one thing. No, yeah, I get you.
I just did the thing. Yeah. You people, what I was going to say is you people are my people. Like, we are the same. Like, whether you want to admit it or not, Cherokee or have been through the same. Man, I just appreciate you saying that and being able to admit it. So thank you.
Good stuff. I mean, good question.
If we don't fight for our freedoms, we are going to lose them. And
shout out to everybody who's fighting.
Yeah. And right now we are losing to white Christian nationalism. And the rest of us are not them. So we're losing.
Yeah.
And we have to fight back somehow, some way.
Yeah. Hey, let me let you go. I'm starving now, and it's starting to feel a little buzzy over here, which is a good thing.
I love you.
Hey,
I love you, man.
Thank
you so much for having me.
Pleasure. I'll chop it up and I'll probably tag you.
I honestly,
no.
I wasn't prepared. So.
Oh no, you're good. You're good, man. Thanks so much. I'll get with you.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Peace. Yeah. Hey, so y'all actually stuck around for the part of the conversation that was so left field from everything that this show was about today. But I appreciate y'all rocking. I will be back on probably around, like I said, 5 o'clock tomorrow to do the response to the video from Lecrae. I actually need to go watch Ambassador's video now. I had a super chat. Hey, Eddie said, James, just note yourself. Oh, just mute yourself, I think you're saying, when not talking. Yeah, that could have been done, but all right, I think that's the last one. All right, y'all, I'm off here. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Love you. Till next time. Peace.